all of you here? All of you can hear me? Is my voice audible? Can all of you hear?
Yes, sir.
I think only 34. Yes, okay. So only 34 people have joined. So we'll wait for a few seconds. So I think, today's session and tomorrow one more session. So we'll have got, I'll be trying to cover on all those things which are very important aspects in the, with respect to environment and biodiversity. I will take in a lot of current affairs also, the matters which have been, being discussed generally globally. If you speak about the environment and biodiversity, specifically the area of discussion could be about the IPCC 6th report, and then the demand from India, and like how we speak about becoming a net carbon zero nation by 2070. So all these things would be some of the areas of discussion that we'll be doing throughout our session here. So today we will have almost around a lot number of slides to be completed, which will have a lot of important information. I've tried to bring in whatever the current and static aspects, whatever which can be added, and all those things have been tried to be summarized in this session, in the morning session and in the afternoon session. So hopefully you should be carefully listening, and if you have got any questions, issues, like last days, during the session I told you there were some of the areas you should have been covering. Those areas also, the basic areas, I have tried to touch upon those things. So you'll not be missing anything. That's what I will be trying to. And one most important thing is that I just before everyone joins in, I thought that it would be good to advise you on this is the time. It's already end of February, so it's February was over, and then you have got very less time that is pending for your prelims examination. So what you need to be doing would be a clear plan that needs to be there for the revision. I think the current affairs and newspaper, whatever the reading that you people do with respect to every subject, it is not about environment, biodiversity, every subject, whatever that you people are doing, that you need to be. And, I think this is the time you need to keep the mains paper aside. Now there may not be, a good time enough to go for going through the current affairs paper. Current affairs in the sense I mean the general studies, all those papers which are actually coming in your mains paper. So keep the mains aside, your optional and other things you should be keeping aside, and start concentrating completely on mock tests. Well, I heard that Jubin was telling me that you'll have a lot number of mock tests, and you people are expected to be going through the mock test in however deep you can go, and don't miss any mock test. That would be one advice I want to say. Everyone has got this issue. People are worried about how many marks you are getting during the mock test, because of which many people don't want to attend it. But that is not right actually. Don't have to show, because the result that comes in the mock test is not for the display, and nobody is much interested in that thing. And even though you get 0 in the mock test, it doesn't matter. And it's all important about it, because I remember there was a girl who was in Pala incident. I remember that particular case where she never scored around 30 or 40 during her mock test, any of the exam, but she wrote every mock test. And in the prelims, she scored 117, 118, and she qualified in the prelims. So it's not about one case. There will be many number of cases in the same way. So don't worry about what you people are scoring in your mock test. You need to write each and every mock test that is put before you. So that would be one advice I would like to say, missing on the mock test area. So that's something that you should be doing. And second thing is that I told you, you will have some kind of a conclusive classes that will be like conclusiveness, the classes which would be looking at the revision of various aspects, especially current affairs and all those things. Never try to miss it, because you see, getting a newspaper, reading through the newspaper, and getting current affairs details. Maybe you should be taking 5 or 6 hours of newspaper reading. That could be summarized in a half an hour or 1 hour session. So be very careful about not missing sessions. Sessions are very important, because these are not college kind of a session, because every session has got so much more thing that you could have studied in that particular point of time. So these are some of the advices. Before I think it's already 43 people in the group. I think it could be somebody more joining in. Do you have got any doubts on how you need to prepare, on any questions that you people have got on your preparation? You can just ask me. You can ask me if you have got any questions on. Nandu, yes, the slides will be shared. Yeah, you don't have a problem about about it. So whatever we complete, the area will be shared, and I have asked, if it is a bit more elaborate, because I told you the slides are very short, because information on the slides would not be sufficient for you people. It will be given, but then your coordinators will try to see that you get a explained a note on the same thing. So it will be rather a note kind of a structure that they'll be trying to share rather than the slide. So don't worry about it. The slide also can be shared. But I told you the information on the slides would be much less. It's what I explain about the slide and connecting the points. Those would be the most important thing for your listening. Yeah. Any other question? You have got any questions on your preparation? Anyone has got any issues? Any questions? Nobody. So fine. We'll. I think it's time. We'll slowly start on with the topic. Further, the people can join on. Last time what we spoke about was the metal pollution, and then we spoke about soil pollution and how the soil pollution can be bioremediation. So this bioremediation actually meant, one second, someone has put in a question. Can you tell that how question will be asked at the end of your session? Yes. As soon as we complete the pollution aspect, I have got a few of the questions which are actually put in. We have put some of the questions. I've tried to target on some of the questions out of the area that we have discussed as of now. So you will see that how the questions will be coming and how you will be able to face the question that we will be discussing. Yes, Nandulal, we will discuss about that. Yeah. Usually, I told you whenever I say about each and every question, like when I say about bioremediation, I was telling you how that questions could be asked. For example, when I was speaking about it could be a direct question. Which of the following methods would be a part of bioremediation methods to counter the soil pollution issues? Soil pollution issues in a counter methods biological remediation, like bioremediation methods. That would be one. They could directly ask a question on which of the following a fertilizer, or which of the following is used as a fertilizer in order to remove the lead present in the soil. You can have, as I told you, the metal pollution questions. You can get a question where you are asked to match the metals and the disease that is caused by that particular metal. So you can have a lot of questions which can be ranging from very trivial questions to much difficult question kind of a thing. Prelims in the class at the question paper analysis or a question paper class. You might have seen that the way how you need to look at each and every question. For example, when you are looking at 100 questions in the prelims paper, almost 30 to 40 questions, which may be coming as a one-word question, or which may be coming as a question with the options, which are easily chosen out of, getting an answer out of 4 options. One option, if you know the correct answer, you'll be able to write the answer correctly. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ചോദ്യങ്ങളായിരിക്കും നമുക്കൊരു 30 to 40 questions, which is the questions which are expected to be written by a person with an average preparation. Then ഒരു 30 question അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു 20 question എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു bit higher level questions ആണ്. Here you need to be knowing at least about 2 of the 4 choices given. So അങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ ഞാൻ അങ്ങനെയും കുറച്ച് ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഞാൻ കാണിച്ചു തരാം. I'll show you how the questions are coming in and how these the choice of making the right answer, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ how you eliminate the wrong choice, അത് നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഞാൻ കാണിച്ചു തരാം. So what actually happens is that if you know about at least 2 of the choices given, you will be able to write the answer. So this would be another 20 questions. Next 20 question is a bit more tougher one, where at least you should know about all the 3, because if you miss about anything, you'll be losing the correct option. And the last one is you need to know about each and every choice that is given, which is usually are the questions which UPSC does not expect you to answer much, which means if you are able to write the first and the second, the very trivial and the generally known questions, and another 20 questions where you are expected to have a little more work on that. If 40 plus 20, 60 questions are cleared by you, you are qualified for a prelims examination. So, you are not able to be, you are not expected to be an extraordinarily brilliant person, scoring 360 out of 360 like in an IET examination. So that does not actually come in here. Here, I don't think that usually people score 200 out of 200. The maximum you would be listening would be 150, 160. Maybe some lucky people will be scoring higher. We don't know about it. But I mean that this 120 mark, which is considered to be the average cutoff for the last many years, because it doesn't come that much also. Usually it is 110 question, 110 mark or 115 was the 116 was the biggest cutoff ever came for a general category candidate, as in 2016 examination. Leaving that, all years it has gone down to 107, 105 or 98 or less than that. So that's how the cutoff mark have been ranging over the last years. So what I want to tell you is that is how you should be looking at that. So I'll tell you, if you can get some time to go through that thing and target those questions. So be careful to not to make mistakes in the areas that everybody make it right, and be very careful about what you call that. Be attending the questions like negative marking. I think many people have advised you on that thing. We will also see when we go through the questions, we'll understand how these good things can be countered. Yes, we'll get into the next area. So here we are going into the radioactive pollution. You know the basic sense of it. Radioactive pollution is actually it's how what you call radioactive materials, they pollute the air, water, or the soil. And after the Ukraine issue has actually come into the picture, the Chernobyl has again been brought in. The Chernobyl, April 25th, 1986. How this nuclear disaster has closed, and still, yesterday there was a news, Ukraine saying that after the taking over of Chernobyl, there was a rise in the radiation in the area. We don't know about these claims, whether they are right or wrong or anything. But if you look into the various aspects of radioactive pollution, would be considered to be one of the biggest disaster that can be considered as. If air pollution, if you can speak about water pollution, you speak about various kind of pollution, but the kind of impact radioactive pollution can cause, that will be much, much larger than any other kind of pollution. For example, you speak about Nagasaki, Hiroshima, or you speak about this Chernobyl disaster, all these things, like that would be one of the reasons for which, the Kudankulam nuclear plant, that was how badly countered by the local people and many NGOs. Many NGOs have actually countered many of the these nuclear reactors and even those civil nuclear reactors, because we don't we have this defense or military nuclear reactors also, but then it is not that is being discussed much. Even civil nuclear disasters are also nuclear reactors are also heavily discussed. And what actually happens is that, like we have seen that after the first two atom bombs, which have been actually blasted in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, 6th and 9th of August. So that is where we started to speaking much about the nuclear disasters or these kind of radioactive pollution. So that's being actually discussed after the two nuclear bomb blasts that happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, even though even in the present day, when you speak about the nuclear bombs, the world is at the brim of a war. So now if you speak about it, yesterday that there have been a reference on how the nuclear, the space station could be dropped down to India or China. Because if sanctions are put on Russia, the kind of cooperation stopped from Russia, what could have happened with it? You see the kind of threats people can make. Now we also speak about how every country has become nuclear powerful, isn't it? You know about it. Like when you speak about Russia, I know the number of nuclear warheads that is with them. It's almost around 9,000 to 10,000 nuclear warheads. Or you speak about America with around 6,000 to 7,000 of nuclear warheads. Like India, almost around 110 to 100 and 120 warheads. You speak about Pakistan, around 150 warheads. China, we don't know. Even China doesn't know how many warheads they have got. Their situation is altogether very different one. Because they are very secretive about what they do. So the kind of nuclear powers which are actually growing in, which makes each and every country a power, holder by itself. They are all kingmakers themselves. Because what happens is that once nuclear power has been given, or nuclear power comes into the hand, every country becomes almost equal, because everyone has got that power to attack the other country. Now the question is about the second strike capability. Once attacked, what is your capacity to strike back? So that would be one question that is being discussed much by every country. Every country is working on that thing, like creating second strike capabilities or improving, the ability to strike back. let's not discuss much into it, but I was telling, I think you understood what is the meaning of it. So now the world is looking at the mad world. Mad എന്നുള്ള ഒരു short form ആണ്. Mad stands for, somebody can tell me what does it actually stand for, the word mad? When you speak about the nuclear bomb attacks, that could be looming over the world, a nuclear disaster, if I would call, or the end of the world, if you would say. We speak about mad, MAD. What does it actually stand for, MAD? Anyone can tell me? Somebody? Yeah, nobody was able to answer me the question, I think. MAD stands, yes, somebody was actually mutually assured destruction. Very good, Anaka. I think you people are slowly getting up and coming in. Yes, Anaka, very good. It's mutually assured destruction. So the world is looking at a mutually assured destruction status, which actually stands for that everyone has got the capacity to use the nuclear bombs, which will have different. So we'll do one thing. We'll have some kind of a discussion later when we speak about the Ukraine issues, because I'm sure it's going to be one of the important topic in your international relations paper, the GS paper 2. Prelims also you can have questions based on the international geography, and in the interview you can pakka have a question, because this is going to be a very important question if you ever get an opportunity to get into the interview. So we think let's see that one later. So what we were actually speaking about was how the radioactive pollution becomes one of the most dangerous thing about. Now, man-made causes like exploring plutonium, thorium, nuclear bombs, etc. If you speak about the reasons for the radioactive pollution, you speak about the COVID-19. And what would be the reason? Now, as far as what we know about it, we speak about the kind of experiments that is being done. Some people speak about the consumption patterns of the people. But to one extent, what has been proved to be one of the reasons that could be said would be it's about the experiments that have been done based on various viruses present in the animals, and how one of the viruses escaped from the labs in Wuhan in China. So that may be one of the what you call a fruitful outcome of the discussion with respect to the evolution, or if you speak about the beginning of COVID-19. But what does actually mean? It actually means that the number of experiments that human beings do, the number of activities that we proceed on against the natural conventions, it actually comes out with some kind of disastrous outcome. So that's what we speak here also. So the reason for radioactive pollutions can be the kind of exploration in plutonium, thorium, nuclear bombs, etc. And that is, that is something that we can all stamp upon. Now, if you speak about the Iran issue, if you speak about the Iran issue, the most recent sanctions on Iran, or the earlier sanctions from 2009 on Iran, and the Lausanne agreement that has been signed between Iran and the P5+1, you will understand how important the world felt that uncontrolled nuclear activities must be stopped. All of you know about it. Sanctions of Iran, and how did it all happen, and what is the Lausanne agreement that has been signed, isn't it? All of you hear about it? All of you have heard about it? All of you? You can answer, you just take it like a regular class and you can answer it. No need to be going on to type. You can say, have you heard about all these kind of things, or am I just speaking about it? Okay, fine. I think that might have you would have to put a little more work on to understand these things, whatever it is. So it's about how the world is looking at the Organization for Prevention of Chemical Weapons. For those things, that's one of the institutions that have been won the Nobel Prize for Peace. You'll have to keep all these things in your mind, if you are going on to study for the civil examination. So fine. So that's what we were discussing about, the exploration of the people, uncontrolled works in the nuclear activities, or uncontrolled experiments that is being done by the various countries with respect to nuclear these things. These have been some of the reasons for the higher chances of radioactive pollution happening around the world. One of the best of the disasters that can be cited would be the Chernobyl disaster of 1986. And now let's come into what is actually, some of the important thing about it. Like Ronjan was the scientist who come out with the, X-ray. You might have heard about it. And or rad. Rad is actually the another term used for indicating the radiation dosage. So in a typical X-ray, it's 1 to 5 rads. So the radiation that is used in a typical X-ray, it is 1 to 5 rads. So when you say it is 1 to 5 rads, that's the dosage at which X-ray is actually done. And if you undergo an X-ray, at this particular radiation, there is no impact on you. Nothing will happen. That's the reason people regularly go for X-rays and all. Now 100 to 250 rads, it is not very fatal, but you can have nausea, fatigue, vomiting, and hair loss kind of issues. Recovery will be possible. So 100 to 200 rads of radiation, if you are getting exposed, it is not fatal. Fatal means it does not cause death, but you can have nausea, fatigue, vomiting, hair loss, recovery is possible. Now, if you're exposed to a radiation at 400 to 500 rads, there will be bone marrow destruction, white blood cells reduction, and reduction in resistance to pathogens, which means that you could get infected very quickly and person dies, because once you get infected quickly and your disease is not resolved, the person dies. So that is about the kind of radiation dosage which is which can be adjusted and not adjusted by human beings. Like you might have heard about recently, that regularly people after the COVID issues, people go for HRCT. So HRCT is also a kind of a CT, computerized tomography, where actually the rads of radiation that is used is lesser than the normal one. But you doctor background or nurses side CT unless until you weigh the benefits, cost and benefits are weighed. അത് വെയ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് കൂടുതലുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ നമ്മൾ CT ചെയ്യിപ്പിക്കുകയുള്ളൂ. സാധാരണ CT നമ്മൾ വളരെ ഈസി ആയിട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ടെസ്റ്റ് അല്ല, അല്ലെ? ഈ CT നമ്മുടെ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടറൈസ്ഡ് CT സ്കാൻ നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത് അത് ചുമ്മാ ഇഷ്ടമുള്ളപ്പോൾ പോയി നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു ഇതല്ല. So doctor actually weighs between the cost and benefit. They always believe the benefit of this CT could be much more than the cost that is involved. Cost in the sense financial cost alla, health cost, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ a person life. So because that exposure to this kind of, because I think it's less than 10 rads is HRCT, but it goes beyond that. 10 or above is a common CT scan that is being done. That's the radiation that is being used. So this is something that you need to learn about it. So I will just want you to study many things out of this slide. First thing, you should understand what actually is the radiation dosages being measured at the rads, and what are the various dosages and what are the impact of that thing, and what are the reasons for the increase in the radioactive pollution in the world. And I spoke about some extra information. We spoke about the nuclear warheads which are present in the world with various countries. We also spoke about America, Russia. They have come out in 1990 after the breakdown of Soviet Union. They have come out with an agreement for reducing the nuclear weapons in their hands. That was a treaty that was signed as I think it's not only about the particular, it's a total weapons altogether, known as the START, Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. But when you speak about the radioactive pollution, or when you speak about these nuclear weapons, I think some of the things that you need to remember in your mind, which may not be a part of environment ecology, but what you should be remembering could be, you can speak about what is this NSG, Nuclear Suppliers Group. You can learn about what is NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty. These may be all coming into discussion these days. You can also go through the CTBT of 1996, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. You can also go through to learn about what does it actually mean by Wassenaar Arrangement. You also have got MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime, and you can also speak about what is this Australian group. All these institutions and organizations or kind of agreements are all with respect to control and management of nuclear proliferation. Nuclear proliferation relate ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള terms ആണ് ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ ഉപയോഗിച്ചത്. All of you got it? ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം കിട്ടിയോ എല്ലാവർക്കും? These are all very important. I hope you people have got the whatever the titles which I spoke just now. All of you? എല്ലാവർക്കും കിട്ടിയോ? ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യം കിട്ടിയോ? Any questions in this slide? I was just slowing down to see how if many people, because it's a Sunday, so I expect you need a little more time to join. All of you got it? ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും കിട്ടിയോ? ഇപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞതെല്ലാം? Any question? Yes, sir, clear. Amalu says it's clear. Yes. So the terms you must be keeping, all those things whichever I said now, all those names which I told you. You speak about the Non-Proliferation Treaty, you speak about the Nuclear Suppliers Group, you speak about CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, you speak about the Australian group, you speak about Wassenaar Arrangement, you speak about MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime, why every country wants to be a part of it, why India, what is the status of India with respect to all these institutions. All these things must be kept in your mind. So these things would actually help you. I'm telling you, these are all going to be how you need to be, you'll be looking at questions. And I also spoke about the sanctions on Iran. I spoke about the Lausanne Agreement, P5+1 agreement that's signed between P5+1. P5 means the permanent 5 in the United Nations Security Council +1. And P5 is actually a group that is being discussed again after the Russia vetoes, the international movement against the activity in Ukraine. You know that you might have seen these things have been actually brought into discussion. So you can keep all those things in your mind. If you got any question, please add on. Okay, any question you can please add on. Yeah, so we'll be entering into the next topic, which is the noise pollution. So noise pollution, we have not gone much into it. You can, we don't need the information about what is noise pollution and all those things. So I've actually come out with the noise pollution rules of 2000. There was this noise pollution rules, which had come out with the very important information, which has been asked in the examination repeatedly. So we say that more than 75 decibels of noise, if one person listens to more than 75 decibels of noise for more long time, it can damage the ears. So that is actually being taken as the threshold for the noise pollution, which means that if someone is listening to noise which is more than 75 decibels, so that's a measurement, the noise is measured at. So if a person listens to a noise more than 75 decibels, then that can actually damage the ears. So as per the noise pollution rule, you must remember this thing. This is very important. According to the noise pollution rules, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. is actually taken as the daytime, and 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is taken as the night time. And then what happened? All the areas have been divided under the following 4 categories: industrial area, commercial area, residential area, and silent zone. and they have clarified on what would be the maximum decibel that voice that can be made in these particular region. Like for example, in industrial area, in daytime, the maximum sound that is permitted is 75 decibels, and at night time it is 70 decibels. Commercial area, 65 decibels and 55 decibels. Residential area, 55 decibels and 45 decibels, respectively for daytime and nighttime. Silent zone, 50 and 40 decibels. Why I have kept this information is that this is the kind of question that have been asked in the last time also. The questions were on which of the following is right about the noise management rules of 2000. 2000 noise management rule and search, noise pollution rule and search, which of the following statements are right? First one was that the daytime according to the noise pollution rule is a particular timing is given. So you need to remember that the correct timing is 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The timing is a bit different from the general timing that we speak about something. Day and night timing different. So that's so more than 75 decibels is considered to be the polluting noise, which is actually a damaging kind of a thing. It has got a damaging impact on the human ears. And then as per the pollution rule, the time goes from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. as the daytime and 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. as the night time. And in industrial area, 75 is the noise amount that is permitted during daytime, and 70 decibel is the nighttime noise that is permitted. And commercial area it is 65 and 55. Residential area it is 55 and 45, and silent zone it is 50 and 40. So this is something just basic on noise pollution. We don't want to know what is noise pollution at all. We don't want to go into that area. That is not significant for you people in your preparation. So this is something that you should be keeping in your mind. So this one we finished on. Now,
silence Sir, പറഞ്ഞില്ല ഈ സൈലം സോൺ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സംഭവം എന്നാ അത്?
പറഞ്ഞോ.
ഈ സൈലം സോൺ ഇല്ലേ?
സൈലം സോൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. For example, there are some areas. It may be a hospital area, but usually nowadays we don't have that kind of a thing. There will be a board marked as a silent zone, which is there should not be much noise. അതാണ് ഈ സൈലന്റ് സോൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. മേ ബി ഒരു സ്കൂൾ ഏരിയ ആയിരിക്കാം, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള സ്ഥലങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവാം. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് മേ ബി രാജ്ഭവൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രൈം മിനിസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് റെസിഡൻസ് ഏരിയ, നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം, which are considered to be very secretive, or people who are living there could be of higher stature. So these places are known as the silent zones. For example, imagine a company or something, a factory or something is working nearby a very important area where a very important person is staying, like Raj Bhavan, where governor is staying. So there it may not be permitted because it is silent zone. So the company, if it is producing noise, that will not be permitted there. ഞാൻ ബെസ്റ്റ് ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറയാം. നിങ്ങൾ മോസ്റ്റ് റീസെന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഒരു എൻവിറോൺമെന്റൽ എഞ്ചിനീയർ വാസ് അറസ്റ്റഡ് അല്ലെ, നമ്മുടെ കേരള പൊല്യൂഷൻ കൺട്രോൾ ബോർഡിന്റെ ഒരു എൻവിറോൺമെന്റൽ എഞ്ചിനീയർ വാസ് അറസ്റ്റഡ് ഫോർ ടേക്കിംഗ് കറപ്ഷൻ, ബ്രൈബ്. ഓർമ്മയുണ്ടോ നിങ്ങൾക്ക്? റീസെന്റ് കേസ് ഫ്രം കോട്ടയം, ഐ തിങ്ക് ഹി വാസ് അറസ്റ്റഡ്. ഓർമ്മയുണ്ടോ ആർക്കെങ്കിലും? ദേ ഗോട്ട് മണി ഫ്രം ഹിസ് എന്താ പറയുന്നത്, ടിഫിൻ ബോക്സിൽ നിന്നും ഈ കിച്ചണിലുള്ള ബോക്സിൽ നിന്നൊക്കെ ആയിരുന്നു അവർ 25 ലക്ഷം രൂപ എടുത്തത്. So and even from the pipes, എവിടേക്കാണ് അദ്ദേഹം പൈസ തള്ളിക്കേറ്റ് വെച്ചെന്നുള്ളത്, it was in the picture. There was a video with respect to that thing also. So what was actually happening is that that for everything you need to get it permitted. Yes, John, you remember that? Yes. So for everything there is a permission, which means that we have got too many rules that is in operation in India. So too many rules in the sense to start one. For example, let us think about starting a company, an organization, or an institution, or whatever the thing that you want to start in a particular area. Now that particular area will have a large number. For example, there will be rules under the municipal corporation, rules under the panchayat. There will be general rules like as water pollution rules, noise pollution rules, air pollution rules, and they will be checked on what will be the impact that this particular company can make in that particular area. And you need to get permission from all those. That is what we call a water pollution permit, air pollution. Every permit is actually required. So it is based on the area where you are actually setting up the industry. For example, if that industry is nearby a river, you know what will be the rule about it. So the same thing, if you are setting up the industry in an area which is a hospital or something like that, the rules are based on the kind of noise or the kind of disturbance that your company can cause. So here the silent zone is those areas where the sound has to be kept below 50 decibels. As I told you, it should be hospital zone or the school zone. But nowadays, that the schools are also set up on the roadside, that it will not be able to be possible because those rules won't be standing up. But mainly when you speak about areas like the Raj Bhavan, or you speak about the places where these important personalities reside, that could be actually brought under this silent zone. And residential, commercial, industrial, So these are the that would be the the basic definition that I can give it. But keep in your mind that what would be the range of the noise that can be made in these areas. This is very important actually. I have seen questions based on this one coming in the examination. Any other question?
സാറേ ഈ സോണില്ല നമ്മളിങ്ങനെ ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന എന്നാ ബേസിലാണ് സാറേ? നമുക്ക് ആഡ് ചെയ്ത സാധനം കുറയ്ക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ?
No. See, this is actually given under the noise pollution rule. Either a rule in every category. If there is an amendment that they do, they can add on. So that is, it's not a common rule. It's a government rule on the noise pollution. So there could be actually addition or deletion can be possible. For example, if they find that a study has proved that 75 decibel does not 75 decibel, 65 decibel can be much more dangerous for the ears. So what they can actually bring down that range from 75 to 65. So it is based on how the government comes out with the notification on what are the changes that can happen with respect to a particular rule. Appo oru rule ne kurichu government endu cheyidu government inde rules are. So government has come out with this rule, so they can add the places with respect to it, or delete or reduce the decibels which are, or add the decibels which are with respect to the polluting kind of dosage of noise. So that other government indicator. So it can be done. It can be done. Any other question? Any other question? Any other question? Okay, fine. So we will. I just want you to get with my pace, and I think many people have actually lost out with it. It would have been nice if everyone would have joined, because I think in the first day we had around almost 86-90 people. So it's good to complete these things in the short time. So it's okay, fine. We'll just continue with the topics. This is atmospheric brown cloud. This is very important. It's actually one of the most important thing. If you speak about it, has been also named as Asian brown cloud. This phenomenon also is actually named as Asian brown cloud. It's actually atmospheric brown cloud or Asian brown cloud. It's a layer of pollution containing aerosols. Aerosols എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം, aerosols എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ സൾഫേറ്റ്സ്, നൈട്രേറ്റ്സ്, ഇങ്ങനെ വേരിയസ് ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടെ കൂടുന്നതാണ് aerosols. ഈ പാർട്ടിക്കിൾസ് എല്ലാം ഇങ്ങനെ ഇരിക്കുന്നത് നമ്മൾ aerosols എന്ന് പറയും. But here the contents are very different. We'll be discussing about it in the part of this slide. So ഈ atmospheric brown cloud എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ Asian brown cloud എന്ന് പറയുന്ന phenomenon, it is actually a layer, ഒരു ക്ലൗഡിന്റെ ലെയർ ആണ്. It's of pollution. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ പൊല്യൂഷൻ കണ്ടെയ്നിങ് ആയിട്ട്, എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പൊല്യൂട്ടിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കണ്ടെയ്ൻസ് ഉള്ള ഒരു ലെയറിനാണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയറിക് ബ്രൗൺ ക്ലൗഡ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഏഷ്യൻ ബ്രൗൺ ക്ലൗഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇറ്റ് ക്യാൻ ബി സൂട്ട് ആൻഡ് ഡസ്റ്റ്. സൂട്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഈ കരിയും പുകയൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെ പൊടിഞ്ഞു പോകുന്ന ഡസ്റ്റ്, പൊടികൾ, ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടെ കൂടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ബ്രൗൺ കളേർഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ലെയർ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി സെറ്റ് ഇൻ ദ അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയർ. അവിടെ സെറ്റപ്പ് ആയിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ കവർ ചെയ്ത് നിൽക്കുന്ന ആ ഒരു ഫിനോമിനൻ ആണ് ഈ അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയറിക് ബ്രൗൺ ക്ലൗഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. It absorbs and scatters incoming solar radiation. You see that? It does not reflect because of the condense that is present. ഈ സൂട്ടും ഡസ്റ്റ് ഒക്കെ പ്രസന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് ഈ ലെയറിന്റെ പ്രശ്നം, ഇതൊരു ക്ലൗഡ് പോലെയാണെങ്കിൽ തന്നെ ഈ ക്ലൗഡ് സോളാർ റേഡിയേഷനെ റിഫ്ലക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. See, when the solar radiation it falls on it or hits on it, it actually scatters the solar radiation, which means that it does not reflect the solar radiation back. It affects the climate change. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് സ്കാറ്റർ ചെയ്യുന്നതുകൊണ്ട് എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്? അബ്സോർബ് ചെയ്ത് സ്കാറ്റർ ചെയ്യുന്നതുകൊണ്ട് it helps in heating up the atmosphere. കാരണം ഇത് റിഫ്ലക്ട് ചെയ്യാതെ ഇത് അബ്സോർബ് ചെയ്യുകയും അതിനെ rest of the atmosphere-ലോട്ട് സ്കാറ്റർ ചെയ്യുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So what actually happens is that it increases the heat in the atmosphere. It affects the climate changes, which is a threat to human and food security. So human security ക്കും food security ക്കും ഒരു threat ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ അർത്ഥം ഇത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. It actually increases the impact of global warming. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഗ്ലോബൽ വാർമിങ്ങിനെ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ കൂടാൻ വേണ്ടി സഹായിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഫിനോമിനൻ ആണ് ഈ ഏഷ്യൻ ബ്രൗൺ ക്ലൗഡ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയറിക് ബ്രൗൺ ക്ലൗഡ്. It extends from surface to 3 kilometers. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ സർഫേസ് മുതൽ 3 കിലോമീറ്റർ ഹൈറ്റിലാണ് ഇത് ആക്ച്വലി പ്രസന്റ് ആയിട്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. There was Indian Ocean experiments of 1990. The first experiment, it was done. An experiment was done in order to experiment on this brown cloud. Endani phenomenon. What is the cause for that thing, and what is the impact of that one? So this was actually tested in the year 1990 under the name Indian Ocean experiment. And they found a large in the northern Indian Ocean, and they found there was a large presence of this Asian brown cloud, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ atmospheric brown cloud in the northern Indian Ocean. And that is the reason the phenomenon has been mainly named as Asian what you call brown cloud. So that is also named as the Asian brown cloud. So it's found in the northern Indian Ocean in the large amount. Now, Asian brown cloud has become a phenomenon from November to May, and mainly this phenomenon is seen. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ ഒരു ബ്രൗൺ ക്ലൗഡ് കൂടുതലായിട്ട് കാണുന്നത് നവംബർ മുതൽ മെയ് സമയത്താണ്. ആ സമയത്താണ് ഇതൊരു ക്ലൗഡ് ഫോമിലോട്ട് വന്നിട്ട് അവിടെ പ്രസന്റ് ആയിട്ട് കൂടുതലായിട്ട് കാണുന്നത്. The brown color is due to absorption and scattering radiation by black carbon or soot, fly ash, soil dust, nitrogen dioxide, etc. So, എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നതെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഈ ബ്രൗൺ കളറിനുള്ള കോസ് ആണ്. ഇതെന്താ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് വെച്ചാൽ ഈ ലൈറ്റ് വന്നിട്ട് അബ്സോർബ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് അതുപോലെ സ്കാറ്റർ ചെയ്യുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് ദ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് വാട്ട് കോൾ ക്ലൗഡ് ലുക്സ് ബ്രൗണിഷ് ഇൻ കളർ. കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ഒരു ഡാർക്കിഷ് ബ്രൗൺ ആണ്, ഈ പുക പോലെയുള്ള അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ലുക്കാണ് കൂടുതൽ കാണുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ബിക്കോസ് ദ ബ്ലാക്ക് കാർബൺ, സൂട്ട്, ഫ്ലൈ ആഷ്, ഇതെല്ലാം ഈ പൊള്യൂട്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ട് സർഫേസിൽ നിന്നുള്ള സാധനങ്ങളെല്ലാം കൂടെ കൂടി അതൊരു ബ്രൗൺ കളറിലാണ് കൂടുതൽ കാണുന്നത്. സോ ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ദ നോർമൽ റെയിൻ ക്ലൗഡ്സ്, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി എ ബ്രൗൺ ക്ലൗഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ഫോംഡ് ഡ്യൂ ടു what you call this what you call all these kind of pollutants are taken into the air. So what you need to understand is that here when you speak about what you call you speak about this brown cloud, the kind of impact that actually causes, and especially the place where it is present. In northern part of Indian Ocean എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ the kind of contribution to the brown cloud by the countries in the Asian area. And you know that when you speak about Asian nations, India always stands top in that. നമ്മുടെ amount, because we already spoke in the last session. നമ്മുടെ last session ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു the contribution of greenhouse gases by our country is almost 6%. We stand third in the contribution of greenhouse gases in the world. I want to add something more, like the 26th conference of party ആ സമയത്ത് നരേന്ദ്ര മോദി നമ്മുടെ പ്രൈം മിനിസ്റ്ററിന്റെ സ്പീച്ച് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. So what he says is that we will be becoming a net carbon neutral economy by 2070. 2070 ആകുമ്പോഴത്തേനും നമ്മൾ നെറ്റ് കാർബൺ ന്യൂട്രൽ എക്കോണമി ആയിട്ട് ഡെവലപ്പ് ആവുമെന്നാണ്. So it's always a matter of question that we'll try to discuss when we go through the IPCC 6th report. ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളോട് പറഞ്ഞു we will prepare on that one also, so it will be easy for you people to understand. So that is something that you need to understand. So here what actually happens is that this what you call the pollution that is because of all these kind of things, all these carbon dust, the ash, soil dust, fly ash, and if you speak about what you call carbon soot, black carbon, ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടെ കൂടിയിട്ടാണ് ഈ ഒരു മേഘം പോലെ ഫോം ചെയ്യുന്നത്, which is known as the atmospheric brown cloud, also known as the Asian brown cloud, since the presence of that one is highly seen in the Asian part of the world. Now one more thing what I wanted to when you speak about the general geography, നിങ്ങളെ already നിങ്ങളുടെ ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഫാക്കൽറ്റികളൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു തന്നിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. It's not only for environment aspect, but when you speak about geography or the part of the prelims examination, be very careful to understand a general what you call physical geography, or if you speak about a general geographic aspect of the what you call this country, the world. For example, when you speak about the Indian Ocean, about Indian Ocean then various seas അതുപോലെ തന്നെ various other terms ഉണ്ട്. For example, we have got the Park Strait. You have heard about the Park Strait. You speak about what you call as the Arabian Sea, you speak about the Andaman Sea, we speak about the Lakshadweep Sea, we speak about the Gulf of Persia, and there are a lot of straits, there are a lot of isthmus, and then how what you call it goes into to the east, to the west. When you see about it, you speak about to the east you have got the Malacca Strait and how it passes down into the Pacific Ocean. And to the west, when it moves, that Western Indian Ocean, it goes into the what you call as the Red Sea through the way of what you call, you have got the Gulf of Aden and Strait of Bab el Mandeb, and then how it goes through to the man-made or the artificial strait, we call it as the Suez Canal, and how it passes down into the what you call Mediterranean Sea. And from Mediterranean Sea, how it is very important, it goes through Gibraltar Strait and it goes into the Atlantic Ocean. ആ ഒരു ജനറൽ ജിയോഗ്രഫി. അപ്പൊ കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇപ്പം നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം ഈ റഷ്യയുടെ ഒക്കെ കേസ് വരുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ കേൾക്കുന്ന ചില ടേംസ് ആണ്. ഇപ്പം കുറെ പേരുകൾ അല്ലെ നിങ്ങൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്, ഡോൺബാസ്, ഒഡേസ, ക്രിമിയ എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ ഇഷ്ടം പോലെ, കീവ് എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ നോർമൽ ടേം ആണ്. പക്ഷെ അതില് ക്രിമിയ എന്നൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ കൂടുതൽ കേൾക്കും, കാരണം ക്രിമിയ വാസ് ടേക്കൺ ഓവർ ബൈ റഷ്യ in the initial stage of Ukraine's movement itself, that was in around 2013-14. But Crimea എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം, it's actually a peninsula that is protruding directly into the what you call a Black Sea and the significance of Black Sea. See, when you read through the newspaper, try to see that you get each and every information. So that would actually help you. So I was keeping it aside. I was just telling you these general geographic aspects. That is very good for you people if you can actually go through it and study well. General geography. Various straits or isthmus of the landforms, the water bodies, all those extensions of various water bodies to the left, to the right of the world, country, all those things must be kept in your mind. So we were discussing about the atmospheric brown cloud. So it's a phenomenon that is mainly seen in the northern part of the Indian Ocean. It's actually a cloud which is brownish in color, which is formed due to the pollution containing aerosols. And major pollutants in this particular brown cloud is black carbon, soot, fly ash, soil dust, nitrogen dioxide, etc. And what is the disadvantage of this one? These are very much contributing towards the global warming or heating of atmosphere. Why? Because it does not reflect the sunlight. It absorbs and scatters sunlight, which heats the atmosphere again. It's actually a phenomenon that is seen from November to May, for which it is known as the Asian brown cloud. So this is something that you should keep in your mind. Aerosols in brown cloud are made up of black carbon and organic carbon. They absorb solar radiation and heats up the atmosphere. Others like sulfates and nitrates send back the radiation, which means that in common clouds, such as the aerosols which contain sulfates and nitrates, they are capable of sending back the radiation to space, reducing the solar radiation. Give me a second, please. So, others like sulfates and nitrates, which we were speaking on. This is something that has got the capability of sending back the radiation to space, reducing the solar radiation, and it causes a dimming effect known as the aerosols direct effect. Be very careful about that thing. It's a very important thing. There is a direct effect of this radiation. These aerosols, which is what, such as the sulfate nitrate aerosols ഒരു capability എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, instead of absorbing the radiation, they are capable of sending back the radiation, which is the direct effect of this aerosols, known as the aerosols direct effect. It causes dimming. Dimming എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ that when the light does not get scattered, നിങ്ങളിപ്പം ദൂരത്ത് നിന്നൊക്കെ നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും ക്ലൗഡ്സിന്റെ അടിയിലുള്ള ആ ഏരിയ dim ആയിട്ട് കാണാം. What actually happens is that area the light will not be scattered on. നിങ്ങളിപ്പം ദൂരത്ത് നിന്നൊക്കെ മലമുകളിലോട്ടൊക്കെ നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ you might have seen that suddenly that area becomes dark, dim ആയി പോവാം. അതെന്താന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ because the light that is falling on this the big clouds in those regions, they are capable of sending back the radiation, which actually helps in the dimming of that particular area. So that is what we call it as the direct effect of the aerosols. And the formation of cloud, because you know that aerosols come together to form cloud, that is actually the indirect effect of the aerosols. We call it as the aerosol indirect effect. That is actually all these aerosols coming together and forming the cloud. So if the aerosols are in the atmosphere, such as sulfates and nitrates, they are capable of sending back the radiation rather than absorbing the radiation. And this one would actually affect in forming clouds, which are capable of which all these aerosols come together, and there is also a contribution of these aerosols in formation of the cloud, and that is what we call it as the indirect effect of aerosols. We call it as aerosol indirect effect. So direct effect ennu parayunnathu, they are capable of sending back the radiation, and there will be a dimming that you can see in the area, which it can actually bring down that heat that actually comes from the sunlight. And what is indirect effect? It is the formation of the cloud. So all these aerosols come together, they form the cloud. So that is what we call it as the indirect effect. So which it adds on to the cloud. So that becomes the indirect effect. So you understood what is the difference between a brown cloud and aerosols with all these sulfates and nitrates. So what I'll do is that I'll just to go through again so that we'll continue with the next of the topics. So what we were discussing about was atmospheric brown cloud or Asian brown. Sir, can you explain the direct effect? Yes, I will explain. John again. And the sound clear on echoing sound clear on all of you can listen clearly. Yes, Anaga says it is okay, so no problem. Okay, fine. So because in the room I feel like there is an echo, so I don't want you people to miss on topics. So what we were speaking about now, it's atmospheric brown cloud, which is also known as a phenomenon of Asian brown cloud, because it is mostly found in the Indian Ocean region. And the northern part of the Indian Ocean region, you can find the presence of the cloud throughout November to May. And it has become an annual phenomenon. So the first experiment which was done on this Asian brown cloud or atmospheric brown cloud, it happened in 1990 under the name Indian Ocean Experiment. So they wanted to identify on the reasons for it, the impact of it. And what it was identified was that this phenomenon, it is caused due to the aerosols which are containing black carbon, soot, fly ash, what you call nitrogen dioxide, all these kind of pollutants. And they are creating an impact on the atmosphere by the way of not sending back the sunlight radiation, but absorbing and scattering the radiation down in the atmosphere. So this heats up the atmosphere and create it increases the chances of the global warming. Now aerosols in the brown cloud, we spoke that they are formed out of black carbon and organic carbon. And they are capable of absorbing the radiation rather, because you know that carbon dioxide, when you speak about it, they are the greenhouse gases. So they are capable of trapping the heat rather than allowing it to be, they create a trapping effect. The heat gets trapped in, it absorbs and it scatters around the atmosphere. So that has got a very bad effect on the atmosphere, which increases or what you call, it exaggerates, or you can speak about exacerbates the chances of global warming there. Now we are speaking about the common aerosols. See, aerosols which contain sulfates, nitrates, their advantage is that they are the ones which are capable of reflecting the sunlight back into the space rather than absorbing, which is the direct effect of aerosols. So aerosols in the direct effect in the they are capable of the reflection of radiation. That's the direct effect. And indirect in the formation of cloud. It actually comes down to form the clouds. It actually comes down to the cloud. It merges with the cloud, or it joins the cloud, or the clouds are formed. The aerosols, they come together to form the cloud. So that is actually the indirect effect, which means that direct effect, indirect effect, advantage the activity that it actually does. So the direct activity, which is the capability of this aerosols which contain sulfates and nitrates, are they are capable of reflecting the light back into the space. Appo ee light ne sunlight ne tirichu space lotte reflect cheyanulladana direct effect. Indirect effect ennu parayunnathu, they help in the formation, take part in the formation of the cloud. So that is that we call it as the indirect effect. What is direct, its capability, and indirect impact that it can cause. Adana ivide nammal ADE adupole AIE enna term kondu nammal udheshikkunnathu. Ivide varan povunna chodyangala, we can expect questions like Asian brown cloud ennulla allengi atmospheric brown cloud ennulla phenomenon endana adinte oru discussion namukku chodikam. And which of the following is true about atmospheric brown cloud? Angane oru chodyam namukku varam. A question on which of the following are true or is true about, is a true or not true about atmospheric brown cloud. Which are the what's the basic difference between what you call the contents or the pollutants which are present in the atmospheric brown cloud and what you call the other aerosols. So inganella chodyangal namukku inda expect cheyam, but keep that in your mind. Indian Ocean Experiment endumayittu relate cheyidana, that actually is with respect to what you call studying on atmospheric or Asian brown cloud. And which of the following is true about Asian brown cloud? You know all the things that we discussed in the previous slide. So that must be kept in your mind. It's a current information. It's about the national what you call a dolphin research center ennu paranjittu oru formation aanu. So I just added that thing I think before getting into that thing. Yeah, so now we'll have some general topics that's coming in. I think there was one more that I put it in the next slide. next slide in the next page, what you call the global warming issues and all we have actually tried to put in the other slide. So we'll just run through these, some of the current information and some random information, and then when we go into the next important part. Next important part means we have got one more slide that has been set up for the covering up the basic things and a lot of other current aspects, global warming, INDC, all those things that we discussed. We'll be going through that thing. So this is another very important current information. Even though it was proposed in 2011, now it has been actually brought into more of a serious stage of being practical. So it's in Patna. So this is National Dolphin Research Center. So it is also acronym Vikram Shila Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary. So it was actually approved in 2011, but by 2022, now actually the work is going on and there have been a lot of news with respect to that thing. So a 7-kilometer stretch in the Ganga River, that is between Sultanganj and Kahalgaon. So this is actually a place in Bihar. So a 7-kilometer stretch has been chosen for creating a Gangetic River Dolphin Sanctuary. So the Gangede stretch, which is actually in Bihar, which is the place which is considered to have the largest number of Gangetic River dolphin, because Ganga River dolphin, the largest number of Ganga River dolphin are found in Bihar. We'll discuss about the Gangetic River dolphin afterwards, but here what we are discussing about a Gangetic River dolphin sanctuary and National Dolphin Research Center. There have been a lot of news with respect to the dolphins and its protection and all those kind of things. We'll be, I think, in one of the slides we'll be discussing about it. I have tried to take some of the questions for you people to just to discuss through, because discuss question answer I have put some questions. We'll discuss them. So here what we are speaking about is a National Dolphin Research Center that is being set up in Patna. So that is actually also containing Gangetic River Dolphin Sanctuary for protection of the Gangetic River dolphin in the state of Bihar. So a 7-kilometer stretch, it is known as the Vikram Shila Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary. The purpose is boosting up the conservation efforts of the endangered Gangetic dolphin and enabling in-depth research on dolphins, including their changing behavior, food habits, survival skills, cause of death, and other aspects. I think last year also there was a very, a very heart-touching news that had actually come in, where the farmers were seen beating and killing a Gangetic River dolphin. Gangetic River dolphin, this was very badly, seen, very badly looked at, which means that the kind of problems that the Gangetic River dolphin suffers, that has been actually being not addressed. It's not about the human and animal conflict. There are much more things which we will try to discuss in one of the slides. But what I say is that it's a very important aspect. Towards the end of our session, we'll be dealing with the indicator species, as I told you, flagship species, key species, keystone species, term discussing. Then you will understand what is the significance of this Gangetic River dolphin. So, ഇവിടെ നിങ്ങൾ ഓർത്തോക്കേണ്ട ഇത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. പട്നയിലാണ് ഇത് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. 2022 ഇത് കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. So the idea of this one is actually to work or experiment on the habitats of Gangetic River dolphin. So in order to protect them, in order to boost up their conservation, so there is a sanctuary that is being prepared for this dolphin, which is a 7-kilometer stretch in the river Ganges, and it is named as the Vikram Shila Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary. So their behavior is being tested upon, food habits being tested upon, and the survival skills and cause of death. There are many causes of death. One of the causes I told you about the human and animal conflict. The animal is not in reason for coming into conflict, but then what you need to understand is that how the human beings are not ready to allow these animals to survive, which is actually one of the reasons. There are many other reasons we'll be discussing in one of the questions that we are discussing in the next slide. So you can keep this thing in your mind. This is one thing. I think I've also covered about the Gangetic River dolphin in the next slide. So there is this Project Dolphin that was by the government of India. So this Project Dolphin is also looking at protecting and conserving dolphins in both rivers and oceans of the country. So this one is not about only the it's not about just the Gangetic River dolphin. it is also about the dolphins which are present in the oceans also. So the Project Dolphin, when we spoke about the Dolphin Research Center, that was about the Gangetic River dolphin. When we speak about the Project Dolphin, it is about both the freshwater dolphin and also the marine dolphins. Marine in the sense ocean water dolphin. So you can just keep that in your mind, what does actually mean by it. The project will involve the conservation of the dolphins and the aquatic habitat through the use of modern technology, especially anti-poaching activities and enumeration. Enumeration means listing them out. The number. The project will aim to engage fishermen and the other ocean-dependent communities, which will give boost to biodiversity and also improve the livelihood opportunities of the local communities. The project will aim to engage fishermen and other ocean-dependent communities. The project will also envisage activities that will help in mitigation of pollution in rivers and in the ocean. So this one is just what you call, as an information that I have passed along with it. When I was speaking about the National Dolphin Research Sanctuary, I thought that this would be also good, to come out with that thing. I think it was. 2020 Independence Day speech in the Samayatan, this was actually being discussed by Narendra Modi. So this was a very important one. The idea, what you need to understand is one side we are speaking only about the Gangetic River dolphin, which is one of the most important matter of concern because of the number reduction of this dolphin. And the number in a corneon number and where threats there are a lot of threats which are being faced by Gangetic River dolphin. But under the Project Dolphin, we are looking at general aspects of protection of this dolphin. So it's a 10-year project. So if we run the sea dolphin in discuss for the first time, it was announced. The main idea so biodiversity promote people who are actually the problem with the people, why we are looking at every program where people are being the center of it. Like people oriented, as long as the people don't stand or support the government in its activities, there will be issues. We don't know how these dolphins are being used. They are killed for their meat, or they may be killed for their own, the kind of conflict that they face with the human being. So that is the reason. If you look at the Project Tiger, or now the Project Dolphin, or even the project for protecting the Olive Ridley turtles, ORT, Olive Ridley turtles, or you speak about the dugong cow, we'll be also speaking about that one also. Dugong, there is also in Park Strait, we have actually brought in the dugong cow park. The Tamil Nadu government announced and it's a very important thing we'll be speaking about. So, isn't it a reason that a people-centered plan only will become successful in India? Because unless or until people don't engage in it, for example, why do the people go for hunting these things? Or how do the people poach them? What is the reason for it? Because they may not have any other kind of livelihood opportunities. So what you do is that you promote their livelihood opportunities so that they will not have to depend upon these dolphins or these kind of animals for their survival. Now, the main target when we are looking at a Project Dolphin was killing habitat fragmentation by dams, barrages. Project the what you call the Gangetic River dolphin when barrages, poaching. So all these kind of things, they get affected. These things also we will be discussing about it. We'll just go through that thing in the next slide also about the Gangetic River dolphin, so it will be easy for you to understand it better. So first slide we spoke about National Dolphin Research Sanctuary Center, and then we spoke about the Vikramshila Gangetic Reserve, Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary, and now we are speaking about the Project Dolphin, where we are targeting about promoting or improving the status of the dolphins, which are both in the freshwater and in the sea dolphins. So that is what we were actually discussing on these slides. Now, see the Gangetic River dolphin. It's a small slide on GRD, Gangetic River dolphin. It's one of the 4 freshwater dolphin species in the world. 4 freshwater dolphins are in the world. Adile oranavana ee Gangetic River dolphin ennu parayunnathu. Appam logathulla 4 freshwater dolphin species onnanida. In China's Yangtze River, that is now extinct. So the first one that was present in the China's Yangtze River, that is now extinct. Then Pakistan's Indus River, and South America's Amazon River, and the fourth one is ours, that is in the Ganges River and the Brahmaputra River. It's found in Ganges River, Brahmaputra River, and all those kind of things. I think, I don't know if it's mentioned here. It's not mentioned. Okay, fine. I think the first time, they were being well researched in the year 1997. So what actually happened was that they found the presence of this one in Indus River systems and also in the Ganges River and Brahmaputra River. So they found that there was a confusion with respect to, is it the same dolphin that is present or if it's of a different species. And they found they are different species of dolphin, and that is the reason that has been counted as the third and the fourth year. So in Pakistan's Indus River also, you can find Indus River systems, you can find the rivers, the dolphin, freshwater dolphin. And the fourth one is the Ganges River dolphin, that is found both in Brahmaputra and also so you can, if a question comes on freshwater river dolphin, if you speak about Ganges River dolphin, that is found in India and Bangladesh. Sometime they also add on the country like Nepal and China and all those things, since Brahmaputra River begins from go through these places also, not the Nepal, I mean to Bangladesh and China. So what actually happens is that, and there have been a lot of confusion about that one also. I think there was no question asked, because I think that is being discussed heavily on what are the areas where they are present. That may be the reason. But let us, for information, we can keep that thing: the Ganges River system and the Brahmaputra River system, where Ganges River dolphin are found. So there are four freshwater dolphin species in the world. One, China's Yangtze River, which is now extinct. Pakistan's Indus River, and South America's Amazon River also, I think it is extinct. I need to be just checking through that again. I felt like this I read through that thing also. So Amazon River lulla freshwater dolphin unde, and the last one is the one which is found in India, which is Ganges River dolphin. It's found in Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna, Karnapuli, Sangku river systems, endangered on the International Union of Conservation of Nature red list. That we will be discussing about it. So there is a list which is published by the IUCN. IUCN stands for International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, which was an institution, organization. It's an agency under the United Nations organization, not an organ. UN organ alla, UN agency ആണ്, formed in the year 1948 under the name IUPN, International Union for Protection of Nature, and changed into IUCN in the year 1964. So this is an institution that come out with the red data list. So in the red data list, what actually happens is that they list out the flora and fauna which have been under various categories, listed under various categories. We have categories like extinct, critically endangered, endangered, vulnerable, and then I think there are data deficient or least concern. Categories. We'll discuss about it. There are 9 categories under which various flora and fauna are now there is also one, I think that category is not mentioned, came back from extinction. Extinction in തിരിച്ചു വന്ന ഒരു ഇതുകൂടെ ഉണ്ട്. So that also you will be finding in some of the flora and fauna cases. So that is something. So it's listed in on the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the red list. It needs water up to 5 feet to 8 feet deep. 5 feet മുതൽ 8 feet വരെ deep ആയിട്ടുള്ള വെള്ളത്തിലാണ് ഇതിന് വേണ്ടത്. I think in one of the discussion, I remember that the construction of barrages, the dams ഒക്കെ construct ആകുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്? There is a lot of soil getting deposited in the small dams. അപ്പോൾ ഈ soil ഒക്കെ deposit ആകുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ the height of the water reduces. So the construction of barrages, dams have been a reason for affecting the life of these Ganges River dolphin. Ganges River dolphin they are essentially blind animals. Animals. So they use echolocation in order to identify their prey. അതിന്റെ പ്രേനെ ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഇറ്റ് യൂസസ് എക്കോലൊക്കേഷൻ. എക്കോലൊക്കേഷൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ സൗണ്ട് ബേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് അത് അതിന്റെ പ്രേനെ ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Now let's just go into further. They are usually found in turbulent waters. നല്ല കുത്തൊഴുക്കുള്ള വെള്ളത്തിലാണ് ഇത് കാണുന്നത്, where they have enough fish to feed on. So they have got a lot of fish to feed on in the places where there is turbulent waters. They are the indicators of overall condition of the ecosystem. അപ്പം ഒരു ഗംഗാ വാട്ടറിന്റെ എക്കോസിസ്റ്റത്തിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുമ്പോൾ you speak about the ecosystem of Ganges River, you can speak about they being the indicator species. They can indicate the health of the ecosystem. If there are many Ganges River dolphin, it actually shows that the ecosystem of the Ganges River is very good, which means that what do you call it? You can say that the Gangetic River ecosystem is healthy. The water is clean, neat, which means there are fishes and there are this, you know that connect connect. So if the ecosystem, if there are what do you call Gangetic River dolphin, which means there are enough fishes for them to feed on. If there are enough fishes to feed on, what does it actually mean? The water could be clean and neat, which means that the ecosystem of Ganga River is rather good or better. So that is how you actually, what you call connect an indicator species and the ecosystem in which it belongs. There are indicators of overall condition of the ecosystem. They provide the status of other species in that ecosystem and the river, as they are extremely vulnerable to changes in water quality and flow. വെള്ളത്തിന് എന്തെങ്കിലും ക്വാളിറ്റി ചേഞ്ച് ആവുകയോ അതിന്റെ ഫ്ലോയിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും ചേഞ്ച് ആയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ ഒരു ഗേഞ്ചറ്റ് റിവർ ഡോൾഫിനും ഒരു ഡിഫറൻസ് കാണാം. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതിന്റെ ഡെപ്ത് കാണാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്പർ കാണാം. സോ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ചെറിയൊരു ചേഞ്ച് വെള്ളത്തിന് വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാലും it can indicate the overall quality of the Gangetic river system. The Bihar has around 3,000 dolphin in population, which means that the Bihar, which is the state with the largest number of Gangetic river dolphin, so it has got around 3,000 dolphin population in Bihar. So that is the reason. Now, the previous slide we spoke about Bihar having a national dolphin research center. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ Bihar, having the Vikramshila Gangetic river dolphin sanctuary. All these things are because of that one. So this is a very important slide. As I told you, some of the things extra that you can keep in your mind. I told you that Gangetic river dolphin are essentially blind animals. They cannot see, so they use echolocation. Echolocation പറയുന്നത് using voice, noise, sound waves base ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് അതിന്റെ prey identify ചെയ്യുന്നത്. And I also told you that they are being watched. They also have got reasons how they get trapped in the fishing nets. And you can also speak about construction of the dams, because of which also the number of this one has been brought down, because we spoke about the depth of the water that is very much required for the Gangetic river dolphin to survive. So when you are building dams and barrages, it's not about the depth, it is about how the mud gets deposited. Sludging happens, and because of that one, what happened? The sludge, it actually the mud gets sludged, they get deposited. It reduces the depth of the water for the animal, because of which the animals usually they don't survive there, either cause its death, and it actually reduces the number of the species all around. So all these things are some of the important information. And primarily, you may also remember about the 4 freshwater river dolphin species which are available in the world, which were seen in the world once upon a time. The Yangtze river freshwater species, and then the Gangetic river dolphin, Indus river dolphin, and the South America's Amazon river dolphins. So these were the freshwater dolphin. And when you speak about where are they present, you can speak about the Gangetic river system, the Brahmaputra river system, and അതുപോലെ തന്നെ what you call Karnapuli and Sangu river systems. So these are the ones where they are usually all connected river systems, and that is the reason in UP, Bihar, in the central Indian states. So they are all connected states systems, and that is the reason these river dolphins are found there also. So you can keep that thing also in your mind. So the 3 points we spoke about. We spoke about the Dolphin Research Center, we spoke about the Project Dolphin, and now we spoke about the Gangetic river dolphin. Any questions, anyone? Arkangilum? Elaborate comfortable ano? Speed wide comfortable ano? Do you think that I am speeding it up? All of you are okay with the speed? All are getting every points? Whatever ഞാൻ പറയുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടോ? All of you are getting the points correctly? Yeah, I think the speed is also fine. I think yes, sir, fine. Okay. So all of you are feeling okay? Nice. Excellent. So fine. So and try to see that you note down whatever I say. But when you extra you hopefully you should note down everything, because it's very important. You'll find that this is how the question. Nandulal says my voice is getting distorted. Which are the area that you did not get in some time? Point miss? Did you miss any points anytime? Did you miss anything anytime? Anything? എന്തെങ്കിലും മിസ് ആയിട്ടുണ്ടോ ആരെങ്കിലും? ഏതെങ്കിലും പോയിന്റ് മിസ് ആയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നോ?
സർ മിസ്സായി പോയിട്ടില്ല, പക്ഷെ ചില സമയത്ത് ചെറിയൊരു തിരപ്പ് പോലെ വരുന്നുണ്ട്.
ഓക്കെ, സോറി, എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ഞാൻ ഓക്കെ ട്രൈ ടു സീ ഇറ്റ്. ഐ തിങ്ക് ആ നെറ്റ് എനിക്ക് കട്ടാവുന്നതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും. But I hope you got all the points, alle Nandu, all points are okay, alle you got all the points. Yes. Yeah, but don't miss it. If anything, you miss it, you just note it down and you can ask me afterwards. Any point where you are connected and then suddenly if it is getting cut off, you may please ask me to stop in between and you can restart. Now there is another topic that I want to add on, that is the biofortification. Biofortification എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു many of you people might have heard this term before itself. It's actually fortifying what you call as a particular crop. I know there are two types of fortification. Now, usual fortification that happens when the processing of the particular cereal or a crop or what we call it as a food material that actually happens. Like fortifying during the processing stage. So, wheat, ഗോതമ്പൊടി ഒക്കെ എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ലിസ്റ്റിൽ നിങ്ങൾ അതിന്റെ ഇൻഗ്രീഡിയൻസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ കോമ്പണൻസ് എന്തൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. അതിനകത്ത് അവർ പറയും വിറ്റാമിൻ എ, വിറ്റാമിൻ സി എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് കുറെ സാധനങ്ങൾ, വിറ്റാമിൻ സി ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല, but there are many vitamins or some kind of minerals or whatever they speak about it. You can see some of the things which are added. ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ എന്തിനെ കുറിച്ച് ഇപ്പം മിൽക്ക് പൗഡർ ആണെങ്കിലും പാൽപ്പൊടിയൊക്കെ നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ തന്നെ, so what actually happens is that there is a normal fortification process of a food grain or a cereal during the processing stage. So the idea of that one is that to add some kind of vitamins and all those kind of things, so that it would actually address the deficiency of that particular thing. That direct ആയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടാതിരിക്കുന്നതിന്റെ ആ ഒരു ഡെഫിഷ്യൻസിനെ അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ഇത് സാധാരണ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ by adding that thing, the rice has got that thing already. What will happen is that you will be capable of having that particular issue addressed, and you will have that particular vitamin which you might be otherwise lacking. But biofortification is a method what you are planning not during the processing stage. കാരണം എന്താണ്, ഇപ്പം പ്രോസസിംഗ് സ്റ്റേജിൽ നടക്കുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ അപ്പൊ അത് പാക്കറ്റിൽ മേടിക്കാൻ കപ്പാസിറ്റി ഉള്ള ആൾക്കാർ, ഇപ്പൊ പാൽപ്പൊടി മേടിക്കാനോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഗോതമ്പ് പൊടി മേടിക്കാനോ, ഇതൊക്കെ മേടിക്കാൻ കപ്പാസിറ്റി ഉള്ള ആൾക്കാർക്ക് മാത്രമേ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഫോർട്ടിഫൈഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഫുഡ് അവൈലബിൾ ആക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ബട്ട് ഇഫ് യു ക്യാൻ ഹാവ് ദ ഫോർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ഹാപ്പനിങ് ഡ്യൂറിംഗ് ദ ഗ്രോയിങ് സ്റ്റേജ്. അപ്പം ഞാൻ ഇപ്പൊ പറയാണ്, അരി ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഗോതമ്പ് ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളിപ്പോ കഴിക്കുന്ന കപ്പ ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വാട്ട് എവർ ദ ഫുഡ് ക്രോപ്പ് ഓർ ഫുഡ് ഐറ്റം ദാറ്റ് യു ഈറ്റ്, അത് ഗ്രോ ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ നമുക്കതിനെ ഫോർട്ടിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമെങ്കിൽ, which means that if you can have the seeds which are already genetically engineered with the kind of minerals or vitamins that we need, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമുക്ക് അതിൽ ഇൻക്ലൂഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമെങ്കിൽ the crop that comes out, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പൊ ഗോതമ്പാണെങ്കിലും നമ്മുടെ അരിയാണെങ്കിലും അത് ഗ്രോ ചെയ്ത് അത് വരുമ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ ഈ പറയുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം കൂടെ അടങ്ങിയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. അപ്പൊ അതിന്റെ അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ് എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, അപ്പൊ അരിപ്പൊടി മേടിക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യം വരുന്നില്ല, ഫോർട്ടിഫൈഡ് ആയിട്ട് റൈസ് പൗഡർ മേടിക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യം വരുന്നില്ല, ഫോർട്ടിഫൈഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വീറ്റ് പൗഡർ മേടിക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യം വരുന്നില്ല. യു ഗെറ്റ് എവറിത്തിങ് ഡയറക്ട്ലി ഇൻ ദ വീറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ദ റൈസ് ദാറ്റ് യു ഗെറ്റ്. ഇതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ ബയോഫോർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ഐഡിയ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So it's about fortifying the crop with the required the vitamins and other kind of things which is supportive to a human person's nutrition. ഒരാളുടെ ന്യൂട്രീഷന് എത്ര ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള എന്തൊക്കെയാണോ അതിനെല്ലാം കൂടെ വെച്ചിട്ട് ക്രോപ്പിനെ ഡ്യൂറിംഗ് ദ ഗ്രോത്ത് സ്റ്റേജ് തന്നെ ഫോർട്ടിഫൈ ചെയ്യുന്നതിനാണ് ബയോ ഫോർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. സോ ഐഡിയ ഓഫ് ബ്രീഡിംഗ് ക്രോപ്സ് ടു ഇൻക്രീസ് ന്യൂട്രിയൻസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ക്രോപ്സിനെ നമ്മൾ അതിന്റെ ഉള്ളിലെ ന്യൂട്രിയൻസിനെ കൂട്ടി തന്നെ നമ്മൾ അതിനെ ബ്രീഡ് ചെയ്യണം. അതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇതിനെ ബയോഫോർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ പറയുന്നത്. ത്രൂ ദ സെലക്ടീവ് ബ്രീഡിംഗ് ഓർ ജനറ്റിക് എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ്, the method that we do is that selective breeding, and you choose those items which have got that kind of what you call presence of these kind of vitamins or minerals in. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ genetic engineering, you genetically engineer something and you engineer that particular in such a way that you add on some kind of vitamin or something which actually can be would be when the particular item is harvested, that will have that particular kind of a vitamin. It's different from the normal vitamin. Don't think it is vitamin. It's like about something is added which can be converted. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് വിറ്റമിൻ അതായിട്ടോ ഇതായിട്ടോ കൺവേർട്ട് ആവാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു സംഭവത്തിന്റെ ഒരു അഡീഷൻ, അതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ ബയോഫോർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ പറയുന്നത്. It is different from the normal fortification where the nutrients are added during the processing. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ സമയത്ത് എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്? ഇപ്പം അരിയൊക്കെ പൊടിച്ച് അരിപ്പൊടി ഉണ്ടാക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് അതിൽ അവർ ന്യൂട്രിയൻസ് ഒക്കെ ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ വീറ്റ് പൗഡർ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇഫ് യു സ്പീക്ക് അബൌട്ട് മിൽക്ക് പൗഡർ ഓർ യു സ്പീക്ക് അബൌട്ട് എനി ഓഫ് ദോസ് പാക്ഡ് ഐറ്റംസ്, അതൊക്കെ പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്താണ് ഈ ന്യൂട്രിയൻസ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. It works on making the plants have better nutritional value during the course of their growth. So biofortification വഴി എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്? The plants during the course of their growth itself, it will be growing up to become something with better nutritional value. It can be the best to counter nutrition deficiency of the rural poor who cannot afford the commercially fortified food. അപ്പം ഇത് ആർക്കാണ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ബെനിഫിഷ്യൽ ആവുന്നത്? റൂറൽ പൂർ പോപ്പുലേഷൻ ആണ്. Who will not be able to go for what you call purchasing this commercially fortified ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഫുഡ്. commercially fortified എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ നിങ്ങളോട് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ പ്രോസസിംഗ് സ്റ്റേജിൽ തന്നെ ഫോർട്ടിഫൈ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള അങ്ങനെയുള്ള സാധനങ്ങൾ അഫോർഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റാത്ത ആൾക്കാർക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട്, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള റൂറൽ പൂർ പോപ്പുലേഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഇത് ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആവുന്നത്. സോ ബയോഫോർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ is more useful for those people who are rural poor people who would not be able to afford to purchase these kind of commercially fortified food. So that is something that you should keep. One second, somebody has got a question. Sir, idinum price കൂടുതൽ ആയിരിക്കില്ലേ എന്നാണല്ലേ അബ്ദു? ആയിരിക്കില്ലേ എന്നാണല്ലേ? ഇതിനും കൂടുതൽ പ്രൈസ് ആയിരിക്കില്ലേ എന്നാണ് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. അല്ല, it would not be like that actually. ഇപ്പൊ മോള് if you speak about the various rice, fortified rice അല്ലെങ്കിൽ experimental rice wheatന്റെ ഒക്കെ മോളിപ്പം I don't know whether you have gone to Indian Council for Agriculture Research, ICAR. You can just CFAR, I think it's Indian Council for Food and Agriculture Research or something is there. If you go into that one, you will find all these seeds. Usually once you genetically engineer them, they will be even supplied in the sense the seeds are supplied. You don't purchase rice like that. You get to the seeds of these things and you can plant them. You can, in the villages when the paddy fields and all, they will be able to plant them. So here you are not purchasing those rice, other form to purchase cheyanda, and you know that nowadays it doesn't happen like that. The government purchase alle minimum support price കൊടുത്തിട്ട് government purchase ചെയ്തിട്ട് ജനങ്ങൾക്ക് ഡിസ്ട്രിബ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഈ റേഷൻ കടയിലൊക്കെ അരി കിട്ടുന്നതിന് പകരം you will be able to get rice which is fortified. You will be able to get wheat which is fortified. So this is the advantage. Amalu, did you understand? നിങ്ങൾ പൈസ കൊടുത്തിട്ട് അത് ഫോർട്ടിഫൈഡ് റൈസ് സ്പെഷ്യൽ ആയിട്ട് മേടിക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യം വരുന്നില്ല. So that will be replacing all those kind of things that you would be getting regularly from the market. It is nothing much big. അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം ഇതെല്ലാം ജനങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു കംഫർട്ടിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. ഏർലിയർ നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും തെങ്ങൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നത് പണ്ടല്ല ഇപ്പോഴും തെങ്ങ് അങ്ങനെ തന്നെയാണ്. അത്രയും വലിയ അല്ലെ 50 feet 100 feet ഒക്കെ ഹൈറ്റിലാണ് തെങ്ങുകളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത്. Then you know that genetically engineered and they found that the coconuts can be actually brought down into small size and a lesser period for its coconuts to grow. Yeah, so then what actually happens is that now നമ്മുടെ ഹൈറ്റിലൊക്കെ ഉള്ള തെങ്ങുകളുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ പ്രശ്നം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇപ്പൊ കേരളം പോലുള്ള സ്ഥലത്തൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെ തെങ്ങിനെ അവർ വരുത്തില്ല. കാരണം ഇപ്പൊ ചെറിയ പൊക്കമുള്ള തെങ്ങ് വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ കോക്കനട്ട് ക്ലൈംബിംഗ് അങ്ങനെ യൂണിയൻ അവരെങ്ങനെ പണിയെടുക്കും? ഇതിപ്പോ നമ്മുടെ 90s കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ വന്നപ്പോ നടന്നൊരു സ്ഥിതിയാണ്. അപ്പൊ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ വരുമ്പോ എന്താണ്, one computer can actually replace the work of 100 people. So what actually happens is that the people lose the job. ഇപ്പം തെങ്ങൊക്കെ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് അത് കേരളത്തിനൊന്നും പ്രൊമോട്ട് ചെയ്യാത്തതെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത്രയും ചെറിയ തെങ്ങൊക്കെ കേരളത്തിൽ പ്രൊമോട്ട് ആയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പ്രശ്നം എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ the coconut climbing union അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ മണ്ടയ്ക്ക് പോയിട്ട് കള്ളി എത്തുന്ന യൂണിയൻ, ഈ യൂണിയൻസ് എല്ലാം അഫക്റ്റ് ആയി പോകും. So that is the reason we don't start these things. See, there are better methods which can make our life more beautiful, more easy. But then it is not very easy for us to do it because it will affect the life of many other people. So that's a different thing for us to discuss on. Let's keep that thing aside. So I think you people understood the idea of that thing. So commercial fortification is the fortification of a particular cereal or food material during its processing time. And biofortification is during the growth stage. You either selectively choose a particular item which is good for the supporting the human being, or what you do is that you genetically engineer a particular item for the purpose of that thing. So that is how what you do is that you improve the quality or nutrition that can be provided from a particular food crop. So this is what we mean. Yeah, പറഞ്ഞോ.
Like നമ്മുടെ BT cotton ഇല്ലേ?
ഒന്നുകൂടെ പറഞ്ഞോ മോളെ.
BT cotton ഇല്ലേ സർ? അത്
yes that is
modified അല്ലേ? അപ്പൊ അതിനിങ്ങനെ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഉണ്ടെന്ന് പറയില്ലേ, സൈഡ് എഫക്റ്റ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടെന്ന്. ബീറ്റി കോട്ടൺ ബ്രിഞ്ചാളും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഫുഡായിട്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിനിങ്ങനെ ഒരു ബ്രിഞ്ചാളുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, എനിക്കെന്റെ പേര് ഞാൻ മറന്നുപോയി. അപ്പൊ അതിനിങ്ങനെ ഇഷ്യൂസ്
I got it actually. So BT cotton, what we call it as the BT brinjal, or if you speak about the BT tomato, see ഇതിന്റെയൊക്കെ ഐഡിയ എന്താന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, you see that there are a lot of questions with respect to it. I'll speak to you what are the issues with respect to it. Sir, through the biofortification there is any control post affecting the, okay, we'll speak about it. So what I was telling you is that ipo mole ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറയുന്ന ഒരു ആൻസർ ഇതാണ്. ഈ BT cotton അല്ലെങ്കിൽ BT brinjal അല്ലെങ്കിൽ if you speak about the BT tomato or even the potato, ഇതിന്റെയൊക്കെ ഒരു ഐഡിയ എന്താന്ന് പറയുന്നതെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, see for example നമ്മൾ ഇതിനെ ബയോ എഞ്ചിനീയർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു ടൊമാറ്റോ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഐഡിയ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്താന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ, എന്താണോ ടൊമാറ്റോയുടെ ലാഗിങ്, ഏതൊക്കെ ഏരിയയിലാണ് ടൊമാറ്റോ ലാഗ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ടൊമാറ്റോയുടെ ഷെൽഫ് ലൈഫ് കുറവാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഷെൽഫ് ലൈഫ് കുറവാകുമ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ടൊമാറ്റോ ആയിട്ടുള്ള നമ്മുടെ ഏറ്റവും ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ടാർഗറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇൻക്രീസ് ദ ഷെൽഫ് ലൈഫ് ആണ്. So what we do is that when you increase the shelf life, the advantage of that one is that നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം ഈ തക്കാളി എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ പെട്ടെന്ന് കേടാവുന്ന ഒരു സംഭവമാണ്. So if you are able to increase the shelf life, you can actually keep it in storage for a very very long time. So that is the idea of that one. Now BT brinjal എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, it's modified in such a way, biomodified or genetically modified in such a way that it can go against the common pest that affect, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ the other kind of issues that affect it, and increase the production. And if you speak about the BT cotton also, the same thing that actually happens. But now the question that has actually happened is that you are going against the nature. നമ്മൾ നേച്ചറിന് എതിരാണ് പോകുന്നത്. Like there is a common life that, for example, നമ്മൾ ഹ്യൂമൻ ബീങ്സിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിലും, you speak about the animals, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ what you do is that by giving vaccine, medicines and all those kind of things, you are extending its lifetime or you are modifying its lifetime according to our wishes. So when we go against that one, what actually happens is that the kind of impact it can actually make around in the world, the kind of impact it can actually make around in the, because it is genetically modified. So when its seeds go, or when it comes in interaction with the other plants and other kind of what you call crops around in the country, the kind of impact that can cause would be much different. Because കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, every organism, they all are interrelated, they are all interacting. There's an interaction that happens between all these different kind of organisms which are living in the nature. So during the interaction, or when it is interacting in the environment, what will happen is that natural course in the പുറത്തോട്ട് പോകുമ്പോൾ, for example, imagine ഒരു ടൊമാറ്റോ ആണെങ്കിൽ, if it has been modified in such a way, there may be some plants and animals which depend upon eating, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനെ തിന്നുന്ന animals ഉണ്ടാവാം, plants ഉണ്ടാവാം. So imagine how it could be changing, inside that particular, because it is genetically engineered. It will have impact on the animals that they eat. അതുപോലെ നമ്മൾ ഹ്യൂമൻ ബീങ്സ് തന്നെ ഷെൽഫ് ലൈഫ് ഇംപ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി അവർ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന ചേഞ്ച് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, that may not be suiting human beings. It will have impact on human beings. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ when what you call this BT cotton, how when it it's അതിന്റെ പരാഗണമൊക്കെ നടക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത്, you see how when it goes to the other areas, how the insects which will be depending on that one, and how it spreads in a particular agriculture region, it will all have impact with respect to the other plants and other animals which are living there. So that is the major threat when you speak about these biologically engineered kind of crops and food materials. You speak about anything, അതാണ് ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു മേജർ ഫിയർ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ബിക്കോസ് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി ക്ലിയർ തിങ്, യു നോ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്സ് വൺ സെക്കൻഡ് പ്ലീസ് ഗിവ് മീ എ സെക്കൻഡ്. We'll do one thing. We'll take a 2 minutes, 10 minutes break. It's already 11:02. So we'll take a 15 minutes break or 10 minutes break, and we'll rejoin at 11:10, 11:15. Okay, we'll take a 10 minutes break, please. Yeah, we can come back to the topic. So I think just had a break to take water and all. So we'll be coming back to biofortification. So I'll continue with what we ended. So we were speaking and answering one of the questions. Yeah, I just wanted to continue with the answer. Like we were speaking about what would be the issue if you are having this bioengineered and then issue discuss it. But there is more than that. Like for example, if you are gone through that thing, like we were speaking about the issues of this bioengineered, like biologically engineered, like genetically engineered, like gene engineering നടത്തിയിട്ടുള്ള ക്രോപ്സിനെ കുറിച്ചും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ we were speaking about cotton അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഇത് നമ്മൾ സംസാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നപ്പോൾ you may not have understood the kind of commercialization that is happening with respect to this one. It's a heavy commercialization, like how the companies are trying to make a profit out of it. And we spoke about the health impact that it can cause, the kind of impact that can cause to our food security, like affecting other food crops around. All these things are anticipated if you are going into that one. So that is something that you must be keeping in mind. And second, and another important thing. Second thing, or another most important thing about this one is that you should also understand like some of the technologies which are used. Like I just wanted to, there is a technology known as the Terminator technology. So where they said that this technology can be actually, give me another second, please. Yeah, so the Terminator technology, the technology by which it is said that there will be problems like if you speak about how these companies are making money out of it. For example, if a particular cotton being used for that thing, as we spoke about the BT cotton, if there is a particular seed that is being used for that thing, and suddenly what happens is that once that seed is used, which means that the further plant which is coming out after that seed, or the seeds that is used from the plants which have been already genetically engineered, they may not have the same facility. So what the people would be doing is that they are trying to make money out of selling these seeds again and again and again. So these were some of the important issues that were being discussed, but that is not much important for us. The most important thing for us would be with respect to if you can speak about the best thing would be the health impact that it can cause, and the problems that it can cause to the environment around. So these are the two things that I think we can be discussing about. And another question, I think there was another question also. John had given another question. One second. Through biofortification, there is any controlled pest affecting the crop? Very good. That's a very clear question, and that is something that I have been just discussing also. There is this thing, like when you speak about the biological engineering, like biological engineering or genetic engineering that happens, there will be always one of the idea, like the main aim on the reducing the pest that affect the particular plant item. So you know that every plant will have a particular feature that will be attracting a particular pest into that feature. We'll be speaking about എങ്ങനെയാണ് ബയോളജിക്കൽ മെത്ത് വഴി നമ്മൾ ഈ പെസ്റ്റ് കൺട്രോളിന് നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യും എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ നമുക്കത് കൂടുതലായിട്ട് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. കാരണം ഓരോരോ പർട്ടിക്കുലർ പെസ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ക്രോപ്പിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ടൈപ്പ്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ വീറ്റിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു പെസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവാം, റൈസിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന പെസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവാം, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ബ്രിഞ്ചാൽ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന പെസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവും. സോ ഓൾ ദീസ് പെസ്റ്റ് ഹാവ് ഗോട്ട് ദാറ്റ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് എ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ്, ഓർ ദീസ് ക്രോപ്സ് ഹാവ് ദാറ്റ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് എ ഫീച്ചർ ദാറ്റ് വുഡ് ബി അട്രാക്ടിങ് ദ പെസ്റ്റ് ഇൻടു. So when you speak about genetical engineering, so we can engineer in such a way that a particular pest would not be affecting it. So that is which actually happens. So pest impact also can be reduced by the way of having genetical engineering. Now, one of the things that we would be discussing under would be genetic modification and golden rights. So this would be one of a textbook example for the genetic modification, or speak about bio particular fortification. That's a textbook example on golden rice. I think it had come in the picture in 2016, but we don't want to discuss too much about it because the benefits of the golden rice has been heavily discussed by United States of America, and they are not even being ready to take the rice export from India. So meaning of that one is that there have been questions with respect about the efficacy of this golden rice. The golden rice efficacy, there were questions. And that is the reason, there have been questions with respect to whether it is good enough, whether it is actually good enough to continue with the work, which means that whether it has got the efficacy that it promises. The golden rice contains genes from common soil bacterium Erwinia and maize. So common soil bacterium Erwinia and maize, adinnulla genes ne vechittana ee golden rice ne modify cheythathu. So they have taken bacterium from a common soil bacterium Erwinia ennu parnja oru soil bacterium, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മെയ്സിന്റെ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ജീൻ, അത് രണ്ടും കൂടെ കൂട്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ഇവർ ഈ ഗോൾഡൻ റൈസിനെ മോഡിഫൈ ചെയ്തത്. ഇറ്റ് ഹാസ് ലാർജ് ലെവൽസ് ഓഫ് ബീറ്റ കരോട്ടിൻ വിച്ച് ക്യാൻ ബി കൺവേർട്ടഡ് ഇൻടു വിറ്റമിൻ എ. ഇതിന്റെ അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ് എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് ഹാസ് ഗോട്ട് ദ പ്രസൻസ് ഓഫ് ബീറ്റ കരോട്ടിൻ. So the presence of beta carotene which actually helps it to be converted into vitamin A. So that is how it was modified. So golden rice in പറയുന്നത് it was modified in such a way that it has been taken or it was modified with the genes from soil bacterium and from maize, cholam, നമ്മുടെ maize എന്ന് പറയുന്ന cholam. And then what happened? The advantage of this golden rice was that it has beta carotene which is highest in amount, which can be converted into vitamin A. A new potential method to address vitamin A deficiency. അപ്പോൾ vitamin A deficiency അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വളരെ പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു മെത്തേഡാണ് ഈ golden rice. Many were trying different methods, like in Mozambique, sweet potatoes with beta carotene. A lot of methods are being tried in different parts of the world. India, what we have done is that we have come out with the golden rice. And places like in Mozambique, they have tried to modify sweet potato. ഈ മധുരക്കിഴങ്ങ് അത് അവർ മോഡിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി ട്രൈ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ other modifications like grains with selenium that can reduce prostate cancer. You see, now people are looking at biofortifying grains with selenium. So selenium fortified ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഗ്രെയിൻസിന്റെ അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ് എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പ്രോസ്റ്റേറ്റ് ക്യാൻസറിനെ കുറയ്ക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി നോക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. Iron biofortification of rice, beans, sweet potato has been actually taking place in different parts of the world. Zinc biofortification of rice, wheat is happening in different places. Provitamin A carotenoid fortification of maize, cassava, sweet potato. So these are all the various kind of experiments on the biofortification happening around. So the primary thing that we were discussing was about the golden rice. So golden rice is actually fortifying the rice with the beta carotene, which can be easily converted to vitamin A. So how is it being engineered? It is by the way of bioengineering, where you have taken in the gene of the common soil bacterium and also the maize. Adinte genes eduthu adine kootitana ivar idine genetically engineer the rice, so that the rice is fortified with the beta carotene. So this would be able to be converted to vitamin A. Adananu golden rice nu parayunnathu. So there have been various vitamin A എന്ന് പറയുന്ന അതിന്റെ ഒരു ഡെഫിഷ്യൻസിനെ അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് various parts of the world they have worked on different things. നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്ത പോലെ there have been activities where in Mozambique people have been working with sweet potatoes, or you speak about people working on increasing selenium in grains, or people speaking about iron biofortification of rice, beans, sweet potato, അതുപോലെ zinc biofortification of rice and wheat. അപ്പം എല്ലാ രാജ്യങ്ങളും അവരെന്താ ചെയ്യുന്നത് വെച്ചാൽ അവരുടെ കോമൺ ഫുഡ് എന്താണ്, അവരുടെ ഒരു സ്റ്റാപ്പിൾ ഫുഡ് എന്താണോ ആ സ്റ്റാപ്പിൾ ഫുഡിനെ അവർ കൂടുതൽ ഫോർട്ടിഫൈഡ് ആക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ട്രൈ ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. Zinc biofortification of rice and wheat, and അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പ്രോവിറ്റാമിൻ എ fortification of maize, cassava. Cassava എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കപ്പ, നമ്മളിവിടെ ഈ തപ്പിയോക്ക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കസാവ കപ്പ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അവിടെ സൗത്ത് അമേരിക്കയിലൊക്കെ കസാവ എന്ന് പറയും. So this is something that we do. Like in India, you know that if you have an opportunity of making it, like in Kerala, which is I think GM crops in the export restrictions illa. Yes, Anaka. See, GM crops export and import both have got restrictions. See, the idea of GM crops, like genetically modified crops, and when you take about the ones which are actually biofortified, they work, even though the method that is used is same itself. But you know that we are looking at the weighing the advantage of the other one in biofortification. And in 2016, I think the golden rice, I think it was banned by US during that time. That was questioning the efficacy of it. Adinte efficacy niyana question cheyunnathu. But if I ask you people, like if Anaka choice export bans, there are people who are against the idea of it. But if you ask about it, then in one of the topic I'll be covering about the biocapacity, and we'll be speaking about the ecological deficit of the world. I will ask a very simple question, because with the 7.5 billion population in the world, do you think that the natural procedure, you can see that the population is increasing, the agriculture fields are reducing, the productivity is reducing, all the ways if you are looking at the kind of a person to the global hectare the productive region per capita in the country, in the world, that is reducing. So I'm in a situation where if you don't find choices, because you know that even though when you have got agriculture rand of productivity, for example, out of the 100 hectares or 100 acres that being harvested or field, not harvested, I mean that is being used for cultivation, the productivity could be only 9 out of 10, which means only the productivity of 9 acres only will be coming out of the 10 acres of agriculture activity, which means atrayum oru chance ullappa angane oru issue ullappa, do you think that we should completely close our eyes against bio fortification or genetic engineering or genetic modification എതിരായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ eyes close ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ചോദ്യം. Because with our conventional agriculture methods ഒരിക്കലും നമ്മുടെ future population support ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. So there will be questions about the sustainable development aspect of sustainable development. I think sustainability of the development is actually missing when you are going for the genetic modification. We only are looking at what you call as a survival, nothing more than that. So as you said, there are issues with respect to this thing. As I told you, genetic, our golden rice was also banned. We have problems with the BT cotton, BT brinjal, and we don't actually, because that's much more difficult for a country like India, because which has got what do you call it? If you speak about the agriculture as it's not the base actually, because nowadays agriculture is not base. The contribution of agriculture to the Indian economy is less than 14%, which is not a big number at all. So in a situation it may not be that much of a matter, but then still we won't want the limited agriculture area to be affected by these kind of things. So that is one thing. So that's Anaka, that is the answer for that thing. It would be usually not permitted. They wouldn't want it for that. Fine. Any other question? Anyone else? Any other question, anybody? All of you understood genetic modification of this thing. And then, as I told you, see, what we are looking at is, you are looking at the staple food and providing the nutrition through the staple food. That is what is actually happening by the way of this one. And cassava, like in Kerala also, see, we have tapioca being a very staple food, isn't it? ഇപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ഇപ്പം ചില ഏരിയാസ് ഒക്കെ നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ രാവിലെ ഏൽക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ കപ്പ മുതലാണ് തുടങ്ങുന്നത് അല്ലെ, കപ്പ മീൻ ഇറച്ചിയൊക്കെ വെച്ചിട്ട്. But then you need to understand one thing, that be very careful about even you people who prepare for exams and all, there is the presence of cyanides, hydrogen cyanides in tapioca. ഈ hydrogen cyanides എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് it has got a very light impact, വലിയ ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഒന്നും ഇല്ല, വളരെ ലൈറ്റ് ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഉണ്ട്. ഇമ്പാക്ട് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം കപ്പയും എല്ലും കപ്പയൊക്കെ കഴിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഒരു തൂക്കമുണ്ട്, ഒരു മയക്കം പോലെ. Because it has got that cyanides, because actually these cyanides have got some kind of an impact. So that is the reason. But വളരെ കുറച്ച് ഇമ്പാക്റ്റേ ഉള്ളൂ, അത്ര ഒരു പോയിസണസ് ഇമ്പാക്ട് അല്ല, but still there is an impact. And that is the reason people always try to match tapioca with the fish curry or meat. Because cyanides can be neutralized by the proteins. That is how it actually works. But be careful to reduce the consumption, because that may not be much good. We don't know in future what would impact too much of tapioca and all those kind of things. So what I was just telling that. So but then cassava, like in South American region, for us also it is one of the staple food. So that is one thing you need to understand. So we were speaking about biofortification. We explained what is biofortification. We said biofortification is a method where in the growth stage itself you are actually breeding the crops with the nutrients. Advantage of that one is that we can save the people from purchasing commercially fortified food, and rural people, village people who are living in the villages who lack in the basic nutrients, they would be capable of getting nutrients if we can biofortify the food here. And then we give the example of golden rice, which is fortified with what we call it is engineered with common soil bacterium gene and the maize gene, and how it comes out with beta carotene, which can be converted into vitamin A, which can actually address the issue of vitamin A in the villages and the rural poor in India. We also spoke about various areas in which the world has been researching upon fortifying the food, such as fortifying grains with the selenium, which can reduce instances of prostate cancer, which is a cancer which affects the men of higher age. Like 55 years മുതൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 60 years മുതലുള്ള മെന്നിനെ കൂടുതലായിട്ട് അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ക്യാൻസർ ആണ് പ്രോസ്റ്റേറ്റ് ക്യാൻസർ. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ if you speak about iron deficiency can be addressed by the way of sweet potato and rice, beans being fortified with this one, and zinc biofortification of rice and wheat can supply the needed zinc contribution that a human being needs. And provitamin carotenoid fortification of maize, cassava, sweet potato, everything is online. So various nations are working on various things. All of you are okay? All fine? All of you are fine? Yes. Now we got 1-2 more topics from continuing to the yesterday's one, and then we'll be getting into a few questions to get into the next topics. So biofuels is one of the other thing that I want to discuss. And when you are speaking about the global warming issues, or when we are speaking about the problems of dependency on fossil fuels, I think there have been much of the discussion that is happening to looking for alternatives. So looking for alternative എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് what can replace fossil fuels. നമുക്ക് fossil fuels നെ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമുക്ക് replace ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്? See, one side we already started talking about the solar power, and solar power has got its own limitations with respect to it. Now we speak about the electric vehicles, and further we don't know how solar powered vehicles will be coming out. And then what we actually speak about is biofuel. Biofuel in the sense there have been a lot of, I think in 2015-16 there was United States of America working out to create biofuel out of the maize. Maize എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അവിടെ ചോളത്തിന്റെ ഓവറോൾ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ഒരു എക്സ്ട്രാ ഇതുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, വളരെ കൂടുതലായിട്ട് പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. So when they had so much of production of the maize, they wanted to experiment on not experiment actually, they wanted to produce biofuel out of the maize. But that was criticized a lot because they said when the world is crying without the food, a lot of poor nations who don't have enough food, how a country like America can go into going into something what we call it as a fuel out of these food crops, like food materials. Now the question has actually become now irrelevant actually, because now every country is actually looking for the finding alternative to crude oil, because there are many other reasons for it. And now you know that when you are speaking about the Ukraine issue, or when you are speaking about the Houthi attack, like recent attacks happened in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, UAE, Saudi Arabia recent attack. Last year there was an attack on the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. This time might have seen attack that happened in UAE airport. So ഇങ്ങനെ ഓരോരോ ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് വരുമ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ കാണുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ the price of crude oil is just jumping high. Now recently we have seen that the crude oil has gone in such a way that the government isn't actually even interested in bringing down the prices. So the crude oil's price has actually gone, not the crude oil price, I mean the petroleum price has actually gone high. So this is actually which means that as long as it does not belong to our country, it's the highs and lows, the rise and fall of these prices, it will all depend upon international events. Now when Houthi rebels attacked that one, suddenly there was a price of the crude oil going up. When you speak about the Ukraine, this one will be also happening. In India, the elections are also very important aspect when you speak about the price of crude oil going up and down. So all these reasons are some of them for which every country wants to experiment on identifying or finding alternative to the issue of energy security. And that is how the biofuels comes into picture. The idea is actually making use of the carbon fixation in the biomass. ഈ ബയോമാസിൽ plants, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ if you speak about these kind of food crops or grains, wherever എവിടെയാണ് ഈ ബയോമാസ് ഫിക്സ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ഈ പറയുന്ന ഷുഗർ കെയിൻ, എത്തനോൾ, അപ്പം ഈ ബയോമാസിനെ ടാപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ, അതിലുള്ള കാർബണിനെ ടാപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് അതിൽ നിന്നും ഫ്യൂവലിനെ എക്സ്ട്രാക്ട് ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ഐഡിയ ആണ് ബയോഫ്യൂവൽസിന്റെ ഒരു ഐഡിയ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. The biomass is converted into energy through thermal, chemical or biochemical conversion. So by the way of thermal, chemical or biochemical conversion, the biomass that is in the plants and these kind of food crops or grains, they are actually being converted into energy. So that is converted into energy. Some of the activities such as ethanol blending gasoline. Gasoline എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ ക്രൂഡ് ഓയിലുമായിട്ട് ethanol blend ചെയ്യുന്നത് one of the very important ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആസ്പെക്ട് ആണ്. അതുപോലെ heavily processed maize. Maize-നെ process ചെയ്തിട്ട് biofuel എടുക്കുക. Ethanol from sugarcane, that is one thing that is connected with the first part. Ethanol blending in gasoline, which where ethanol is collected from the sugarcane. And അതുപോലെ തന്നെ if you speak about India's ethanol blending program, I'll speak about that thing and why the need for the biofuels. I think there was also a recent news. I think recently it had actually about again came up about how ethanol can be procured from the sugar sugar mills, sugar factories, how they can be used in blending with the petroleum. So what was actually happening? I think the first committee in this regard was formed in 2009. ഓർത്തു വെച്ചിരിക്കുക, മറന്നു പോയത് വളരെ important ആണ്. The Sumitra Chaudhary committee that was formed in 2009. It actually looked at blending 10% of ethanol with the petroleum. 10%, 90% petroleum, 10% ethanol. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു program that was actually designed during 2009, and a lot of suggestions were given by Sumitra Chaudhary committee. It also spoke about the procurement of crude oil from ethanol from the sugar mills and all those things. But there were a lot of questions because ethanol which is being used in alcohol and all, they were getting better payment from these alcohol manufacturers, and the government was only ready to pay around 20-25 rupees per liter of ethanol. So that was the reason that came to a dead end. There was no there have been a lot of activities which were taken up in between. Many spoke about why can't we lease out places in Brazil, and then we can we can cultivate sugarcane and then have this one brought in from there. So all of different discussions have actually happened. Now they say about Brazil, now they have got buses which are running 100% on ethanol. Just imagine, Brazil 100% ethanol run ചെയ്യുന്ന buses വരെ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട്, which means that it is possible. It's only the question about could be we can say about the policy paralysis, or you can call about lack of proper negotiation, or lack of identifying better choices. Whatever the reasons could be, we may be able to identify a large number of reasons for it, but this is one thing that can be made very successful. Now very recently, I think again the government has again started speaking more about procurement of ethanol and ethanol blending program. All these things are being discussed upon. So mainly when we speak about the biofuel in India case, biofuel we don't speak about maize, we don't speak about anything else. We are more interested in getting into the ethanol blending of our petroleum. That is one thing. And the another side, that keeping biofuel aside, we are also tapping upon the solar power that is available. We are also going into we are also getting into other areas also, like if you speak about the tidal energy, or you speak about the wind energy. We are looking into every aspect. But as per the discussion that we have now, we'll be more concentrating on biofuel and the sources of biofuel according to us. Like what are the sources that we can find as the sources of biofuel here. So we have the neem trees we speak about. We have other areas like as we spoke about the ethanol, and then one of the things that we'll be discussing in the next slide. So all of you, I suppose you understood it. So the idea of biofuel is it's always about identifying alternative to the fossil fuels. So the biofuels, the concept is that it uses the biomass where carbon fixation is there, which is converted into energy by the way of various activities. Mainly the program that would be concerning India would be procurement of ethanol and blending ethanol with the petroleum. So there are various activities, such as in America, how they are processing maize, heavy processing of maize for the purpose of producing biofuel. And major people target, which is I think വളരെ natural ആയിട്ട് എല്ലാവരും ടാർഗറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു മെത്തേഡാണ് ethanol, because you can get ethanol from the sugar canes. So that becomes a very acceptable way, which does not have any kind of repercussions. So that is something that every country is actually tapping or trying to tap it. And now, as I told you, India's ethanol program has been also at a dead end for many of the reasons. Like we said about the active movement towards ethanol blending happened in 2009 with the Sumitra Chaudhary committee. And then I told you there are questions with respect to procurement of ethanol, and which was not materialized. Now we are looking at bringing down the fossil fuels percentage in the in vehicles by the way of blending these biofuels which can be produced or which can be used. So that's about the basics of biofuels. Now we are speaking about Jatropha. Jatropha is actually a plant which is actually considered to be one of the best of the contender for biodiesel in India. So biodiesel inde ഏറ്റവും വലിയ contender. Biodiesel എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ as we speak about the biofuel, അതിന് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഒരു ചോയ്സ് നമുക്ക് അവൈലബിൾ ഉള്ള ഒരു പ്ലാന്റ് ആണ് ഈ ജട്രോപ്പ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So this is, I think it had come into picture after, Abdul Kalam, the then president. I think it was in the year 2006 when he spoke about how large, tracts of waste land is available in India, which can actually be used for cultivating jatropha. Let's go by the slide and then we'll discuss it. The plant is the best contender of biodiesel in India. It's easily cultivable in wasteland. So wasteland easy to cultivate ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു പ്ലാന്റ് ആണ് ഈ ജട്രോപ്പ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഈ wasteland എന്ന് ഇവിടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് people were looking at unused lands, unused government lands. Also the sites of railway track. നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം ഈ railway track എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത് ഏറ്റവും unusable ആയിട്ടുള്ള ലാൻഡും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അവിടെ ഒന്നും ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് ഒന്നും നടക്കാൻ പറ്റാത്ത തരത്തിലുള്ള ലാൻഡാണ് ഈ റെയിൽവേ ട്രാക്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ റെയിൽവേ ട്രാക്കിന്റെ രണ്ട് സൈഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, if you start planting these kind of plants, it can actually be planted in large tracts of land in India. So this is easily cultivable in wasteland, which makes it to be an easy choice for the biofuel. There are 6 lakh square kilometer wasteland as per Kalam, which is good for it. 6 ലക്ഷം square kilometer wasteland ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഉണ്ടെന്നാണ് അബ്ദുൽ കലാം 2006 അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യമാണ്. Almost 6 lakh square kilometers land that is available in India, which can be used for the purpose of growing jatropha plants. It's a cost effective and can be directly used after extraction without further refining. You see, the beauty of this jatropha plant is that the oil can be actually taken out of it and it can be used directly as biofuel without further activity. Adine pinne refine cheyanda avashyamilla. അതിൽ നിന്നും ഡയറക്റ്റ് നമുക്ക് ഓയിൽ എക്സ്ട്രാക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് we can actually use it. We can use it for the purpose of in the vehicles as a fuel. The cultivation is easier since the leaves are unpalatable for livestock. ഇതിന്റെ കൾട്ടിവേഷൻ കൂടുതൽ ഈസി ആവാനുള്ള കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ അതിന്റെ ഇലകൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അൺപാലറ്റബിൾ ആണ്, ടേസ്റ്റി അല്ലാത്ത ഇലകളാണ്. സോ പശുക്കളോ ആടോ ഒന്നും വന്നിട്ട് തിന്നില്ല. DI Mohan Oils Private Limited and Government of India, they are signed an MOU for disbursing loans up to 1.3 billion for encouraging jatropha cultivation. So this is something where the people are being promoted into jatropha cultivation. HPCL and Maharashtra State Farming Corporation Society Corporation set up jatropha seed based biodiesel venture, and Chhattisgarh had to be this was actually in 2015 they were actually looking into it, but nothing happened. Actually they were looking into biofuel related economy by 2015, which has not actually taken place. It did not actually happen because it was a target that was given. It was also a target in 2009 committee that actually spoke about the biofuel and a lot of suggestions with respect to how it had to be done. But Chhattisgarh, which was expected to be a biofuel related economy or a state by 2015, had not happened. Now I think there is more news about Chhattisgarh being having large number of family people, every households, they are actually depending upon the solar power based powers, such as everyone has got a rooftop solar power. Now we also hear that Chhattisgarh has got these solar panels which are grid connected. വീടുകളിലുള്ള പാനൽസിനൊക്കെ ഗ്രിഡുമായിട്ട് കണക്ട് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. സോ നമുക്ക് എക്സസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി നമുക്ക് അങ്ങോട്ട് സെല് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. Even Trivandrum ആണെങ്കിലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ if you speak about in your area also, I don't know how many people have got solar panels at your home. I remember that one of the family which I met in recent times, I met them that they found their they have solar panel kept at the rooftop, and what they do is that they sell this particular solar power to the KCB. And now what actually happens is that when you sell that one, they are capable of directing it correctly. Now you only need to pay the difference of the electricity that you sold and the electricity that you are using. Now they say that they pay 0 rupee for the electricity for the 1 month. They are producing more solar power than the electricity that they are consuming. There is a concept of net energy zero building. Net energy zero building. In net energy zero building, the building produces more power than it consumes. That use ചെയ്യുന്നതിനേക്കാളും കൂടുതൽ പവർ അത് പ്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. മെത്തേഡ്സ് എങ്ങനെയാണ്? സോളാർ പവർ വഴിയായിരിക്കാം. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പർട്ടിക്കുലർ the lights ഒക്കെ നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ use what they do is that they will have more open spaces so that electricity can be reduced. So the amount of electricity that is used would be equally to the amount of solar power that could be produced by them by the way of solar power panels. So that was what I was speaking about Chhattisgarh. So Chhattisgarh is now, I think, almost every house is, because the houses are having rooftop solar panels, and they have their electricity from the solar power. And there are also stories about how they connect their solar power to the grids, so that what actually happens is that they are able to get money out of that by selling their solar energy. I think 5 rupees per unit is something that they earn. And the state sells the same thing back at the 7 rupees per unit to the other people. 5 rupees per unit, the people are getting it. So that is something that you need to keep in your mind. So we are speaking about the Jatropha, which is a topic that we were discussing. We are speaking about the biofuel first, and then we spoke about the best of the contender when you are speaking about biofuel, which is the Jatropha plant. We said about the Jatropha plant, the advantage is that they can grow in the wastelands, they don't need much of a concern, and they are not eaten up by the livestock for which it survives. And it's also said that there are lakhs and lakhs square kilometers of land in the country which are suitable for the growth of Jatropha plants. And another most important advantage is that you can extract the oil from the Jatropha plants and use them directly without even refining it further. So that is the reason. Is actually there are a lot of movements around in the country presently, where a lot of cooperations, a lot of collaborations have taken place with respect to improving the Jatropha plantation, which can actually help in addressing some part of our energy issues. Now you must understand that, you see, this energy, we may not understand, this is one more topic that we'll be discussing now. So you may not be feeling much about it when we are speaking a lot about energy, because petrol, diesel, we might not have understood, even the prices are going up. We might not have understood the severity of the issue now. Now, once a war happens, or must not happen, that's what we pray. But in case if a war happens, or any kind of a movement happens, you know that it will have impact on the prices of this petrol all over the world. Especially India, a country which I think almost 80% of our energy is actually bought. 80% of the energy is actually bought. So അങ്ങനെ ഒരു രാജ്യം നമുക്ക് നോർത്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതാണ് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ ഒരു സ്ഥിതി എന്തെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ it will become standstill. ഇതൊരു standstill ആയി മാറും മൊത്തമായിട്ട്. You might have heard about that. ഇപ്പോൾ റീസെന്റ് ആയിട്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് we might have heard that how government of India was looking at solving the problem of higher crude oil prices by one method. Anybody can tell me what was the method that was discussed? പറയുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഈ ക്രൂഡ് ഓയിലിന്റെ പ്രൈസസ് കുറയ്ക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഗവൺമെന്റ് പെട്ടെന്ന് എന്തോ ഒരു കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു, to take crude oil from something. What was that? Anybody can tell me? Somebody? Yes, somebody spoke about it. Yes, taking from the stock of reserves. Nandula, excellent, very good. So somebody is remembering it. Yes, stock of reserves. Yeah, there is something, I can actually explain it a little more better. There's something what we call it as the strategic petroleum reserves. It's actually known as the SPR. SPR stands for Strategic Petroleum Reserves. So this was something that was set up in the year 1998 during the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So idea of this one was that in case if there is a war or any kind of a situation, you know that India would be in dire need of crude oil and other kind of things. So what would happen is that in order to keep for those kind of situation, the government felt that it is important for them to create a reserve of crude oil. റിസർവ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ബങ്കേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ട് അതിന്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ ഇഷ്ടംപോലെ ക്രൂഡ് ഓയിൽ നിറച്ച്, വില കുറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് മേടിച്ചിട്ട് നിറച്ചു വെക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അതിന്റെ ഐഡിയ. It's not only their idea, it was also, one second please. See, this is actually an idea that is actually being followed by most of the countries. Like, I don't know, you have heard about it in China's case also. But China's case was actually brought for discussion. It was mainly when Iran was sanctioned. So Iran was sanctioned time, China endana cheyunnennu choദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ they they spend a lot of money on purchasing crude oil, and they have made a big reserve. So they made a big reserve of crude oil, And then what happened? It happened, I think they have large amount of resources of crude oil as of now. Because what happened, you might have heard about it, in 2012, 13, the crude oil price has fallen down after the shale oil explosion has happened. So China had actually purchased a lot of crude oil and they had kept it. And now what actually happens is that, yeah, 1 second, please. So what actually happened was that India's case, India, as I told you, India's idea was to have a crude oil reserve, and the crude oil reserve was expected to be around 360 million tons of crude oil. 360 million tons of crude oil idea is around we have around 4 million tons of crude oil that is being used every day. ഒരു ദിവസത്തെ നമ്മുടെ കൺസംഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് what you call 4 million crude oil ആണ്, 4 million barrel crude oil ആണ്. അപ്പം അതിനെ ഒരു കാൽക്കുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ്, so what you call as wanted to have something what we call it as the what you call a crude oil reserve or strategic petroleum reserve that will be going up to around as I told you would be around 360 million barrels of crude oil. So what happened was that this particular idea was very felt to be very successful, and we started making it. But then still I think even now we are not in a situation to say that how much amount of crude oil that has been stored till date. Because what happened during that time when the price had actually gone down, in 12 and 13, we had a problem. We were actually going by the we were actually going by the American sanctions and all those things. We were not very interested going into purchasing this oil from Iran, because of which what actually happened is that Iran was not very happy to give back to us during the time when the price was gone. Because of which what happened again, China, like of a country which did not go by the American thing, they were supported completely, and and then they were able to increase the reserves well. So that happened during the time in 2012-13. But in India's case, as I told you, India had still problem with the strategic petroleum reserves. Now, what is the advantage of strategic petroleum reserve? So in strategic petroleum reserve, the advantage becomes very clear, especially when we are discussing about the string of pearls. How India could be actually targeted, like how India's oil route can be actually prevented by China or Pakistan. So you know that why it is important that India should have that, but we have to be sad that we were not able to collect when the prices were low. Imagine in 2012-13, the prices of the crude oil went down $30 per barrel. One barrel is $30. $100 ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത് $30 But still, we may not know actually how it actually happens on. So it had actually gone up to $30, but still, you just imagine we weren't actually able to recoup or fill in our reserves. We were not able to do that thing. So this is something that you need to understand why it happens and what is the reason for the getting into it. 1 second, please. Yeah, so what we were speaking was that we were telling about we are speaking about why it is important for the biofuel to be used on, and then strategic petroleum reserve is something that you should be keeping. And somebody has answered, Nandu has answered that it was strategic petroleum reserves from which we were expecting to take out the crude oil and then bring it to the market so that the prices of the oil can be brought down. Fine. Now we are speaking about another very important topic. This is bioinsecticide. Yes, somebody has got a question. Sir, is there any other minimum standard of crude oil, which how much the oil?
Invasive species.
It's not invasive. See, that is a concept of it. It can actually have the role of an invasive species. That is the reason we are not looking into planting in a planting area. We are only looking at planting in a area where, but it does not invade just like that. Like for example, you are not looking to plant them in a place where there is an agricultural activities happening. But it has got the normal features of it. But once it goes on, it can actually spread on. But it is not counted to be an invasive species because it usually doesn't happen in that way. It doesn't actually invade like the agricultural plantations and all those kind of things. But if you plant it continuously, it will have that nature. That is one of the reasons for which the people aren't very much interested. So they are not pro going into cultivation of the jatropha plant. But it does not. It is not a common invasive species that you find in the agriculture can. But once you start planting it in large quantities, there is a chance of its invasion. One of the reasons for which general population is not ready for planting it. Got it? Hello, can you hear, all of you? Disturbance or not? Is it disturbance? Nandu, can you hear? Is it disturbed? Is it getting disturbed? Nobody is responding. Yeah, I'm just confused whether I am clear. Clear or no? Clear or no? Fine, sir. Okay.
Voice break down.
Voice break down. I think I'll just give me 1 second. നിങ്ങളുടെ സൗണ്ട് ബ്രേക്ക് ആവുന്നുണ്ട് കേട്ടോ. എല്ലാരും എന്നോട് സംസാരിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവരുടെ സൗണ്ടും ബ്രേക്ക് ആവുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു മേ ബി സിസ്റ്റം പ്രോബ്ലം വിത്ത് മീ ഓർ റെഗുലർ ജനറൽ ഇഷ്യൂ. ഇസ് ഇറ്റ് ഓക്കെ നൗ? ഇപ്പൊ ക്ലിയർ ആണോ? ജോൺ ഈസ് സേയിങ് എ ലിറ്റിൽ ബിറ്റ് സർ. ലിറ്റിൽ ബിറ്റ് ക്ലിയർ ആണോ? ലിറ്റിൽ ബിറ്റ് ബ്രേക്കിംഗ് ആണോ? ലിറ്റിൽ ബിറ്റ് ബ്രേക്കിംഗ് ആണല്ലേ? ഓക്കെ ഫൈൻ. ഇപ്പൊ ക്ലിയർ ആണോ? നൗ ഇറ്റ്സ് ഓക്കെ. Now clear? I'm trying to speak with a little more close to the laptop. Yeah, sound is okay. So what is Nandulal's question was, is there a minimum standard for the crude oil which how much the oil price should be reduced? See Nandu, the price of the crude oil, it is based on the demand and supply. If there is demand and there is lack of supply, you know that the prices always go up. If there is lack of supply and then there is the same thing, if you speak about there is too much of supply and there is very little demand, the price will go down. അപ്പം 12-13 നടന്ന എന്താന്ന് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ there was a high movement towards shale gas. ഒരു shale gas എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് നിങ്ങൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? It's actually the gas that is what you call tracked and extracted from the shale rocks. Shale rock in extract ചെയ്യുന്ന gas ആണ് ഈ shale gas എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So there was a lot of movement for shale gas exploration during that time. This has actually brought down the demand for crude oil. But what they, many countries have done is that they did not reduce the production. They went on to produce, and then what actually happened is that they brought down the price of the crude oil to such a level that people were not able to go for the shale gas. And shale gas in the break-even cost. Adine taare, crude oil the price one, then people will go for. Let's not discuss that thing. You will be confused again. So Nandu, the question then there is no specific price that you can say is the minimum price for crude oil. It is based on the demand and supply. So if but there is a minimum price, the minimum price reaches at a break-even price. For example, the production of crude oil, how much does it take for producing 1 barrel crude oil? That $20 ആണെങ്കിൽ $20 താഴെ പോയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ that is less than break-even price. No country will produce crude oil. So as long as it is more than the break-even price, that is the minimum price of crude oil. Okay, Nandu? Is it okay, Nandulal? It is a break-even price. Break-even price എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് the price of production and selling becomes equal. അവിടെയാണ് നമ്മൾ break-even price എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So if the break-even price or more no നമുക്ക് crude oil sell ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ that is profitable and that is the minimum price. The break-even price is the minimum price. But if it is less than break-even price, അതിന്റെ അർത്ഥം എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ you are spending more money than you get from the other person for making 1 barrel crude oil, which means that for making 1 barrel crude oil you are spending $20 and you are only getting $19. Then nobody will go for producing it. So that is what we call it as the break-even price. So we cannot say about the minimum price. Minimum price is only the break-even price. Nice. Now we'll go into the last topic that we'll be discussing in this slide, and then we'll be going into a few questions before we go into the post-lunch session. So here what we are discussing is the bio-insecticide. ഇന്നലെ നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്തായിരുന്നു കുറച്ച് we spoke about the bioremediation and that kind of things. Now there what we were speaking about how a soil pollution can be remedied or solved by the way of bioremediation methods. We spoke about bioremediation under the way of microorganisms. We spoke about phytoremediation. We spoke about rhizofiltration. We spoke about biostimulation. And we used a lot of terms yesterday. We spoke about terms like biosparging, bioventing. So all these terms. And then we spoke about how the problems of the pollutants in the soil can be resolved. We said about how the fish bone can be used to reduce the content of lead in the soil, and how bone char can be used, body can be used for reducing the cadmium content in the soil. So all those things were discussed during that time. Now we are speaking about how biological methods can be used to counter the attacks of the insect. So insecticide is something that kill insect. So bioinsecticide is biological insecticide. So methods which are biologically used to counter the insects which are affecting the plants. Pathogens, parasites, and predators are used. Pathogens are used, which are actually the ones which can actually counter these insects. Parasites are used, which can actually eat up parasite. Simple so that's what we call it as. Pathogens bacteria, parasite pestine predators, same thing. Parasite predators follow predators. So they are all biological method. Biological method pathogen, bacteria, parasite predators methods biological methods. Bacillus thuringiensis, BT. That's BT bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis. Bacterium can control insect of cabbage, potato, etc. See, this BT bacteria advantage BT cotton, BT brinjal, and the full form is Bacillus thuringiensis. This bacteria advantage it can control the insect of cabbage, potato, and many other the ones what we have been discussing. There are the various other kinds of bacteria under BT which can actually be used for protecting cotton or brinjal or tomato. So whatever you speak about it. Now, sporine was the first insecticide. Sporine is actually a pathogen. It's like a powder kind of a thing. That was the first of the insecticide that was used. Baculoviruses are pathogens attacking the other pathogens. You see, baculoviruses are another pathogen. They can attack the ones which are not good for the plants. The plants affecting the pathogens and attacking the pathogens are baculoviruses. Important method like the sterilization method. Screwworm male sterilized using radiation before allowing to mate. This is another one. Screwworm is an insect. That's sterilized area. So once it is sterilized, what happens? It will not be able to produce more children. So that kind, it's done by the way of radiation. So they radiate. They put the bring these worms under radiation so that it will not further increase its its children. It won't go. So that is something offspring. So that is something that would be happening by the way of a sterilization method. Now, divine is a liquid suspension for citrus. It's actually a liquid suspension which has got all those kind of things which can help. You might have seen that divine is the thing that is actually suitable for the citrus plants like orange, lemon. A divine, which is actually a liquid suspension of these pathogens and all those kind of things which can actually help these citrus kind of plants. Now, collegio is a dry powder fungus to control joint wedge weeds. Joint wedge weeds. Weeds in a control dry powder. Fungus in a dry powder. Collegio. Now, confusion technique in the sex attractant that is spread so males cannot locate the females. Which means a male and female not attract in our attractant. Attractant male will not be able to locate the female. These insects, they will not be able to locate the females, because of which what actually happens is that they will not be able to mate with the females. Pheromone traps pheromone attract in the sambon. Female male female attack in the pheromone hormone. If pheromone traps in the nature without the female being present, they make a trap. So every insect come into that place thinking that there is a female, but they are all caught in the traps and then destroyed. That is pheromone traps in the. So these are some of the methods which are used in the way of a biological side, biological insecticides or biological methods used for the what you call, killing insects or finishing of these insects which are affecting the plants. So there are various methods we use. First one is pathogens. Pathogens we use what you call as pathogens the what you call bacteria or virus which can actually affect the other bacteria and virus which are bad for the plants. And then parasites. Parasites means something that can grow on that and then support that tree to be good. Like let's take a very simple example. Parasite best example ഈ നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും ഇതിന്റെ മേലെ പശുക്കളുടെ ഒക്കെ മേലെ what you call as ഇഷ്ടംപോലെ ഇൻസെക്റ്റുകളുണ്ട്. അപ്പം പാരസൈറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ it is not parasitic, but some birds and all those kind of things which come and stay on that thing. It's a kind of, rather it's more of a idea of competition that we'll be speaking later. But here what actually happens is that it's not a parasite, but still I'm telling an impact of a parasitic work. So here a bird which will be sitting on the top of the cow, the bird will be able to eat that insect and complete it off. That is the parasitic impact. But the example of pure parasite, bird cannot be called as a parasite because it does not live upon the cow. But the parasitic work is that. So if something that depends completely upon a particular thing, it can also help that particular plant to grow and to save it from kind of danger. That is what is parasite. And predators, that is something else. എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു നമ്മുടെ നാടുകളിലൊക്കെയാണ് കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റും. ഇപ്പം റബ്ബറിന്റെ മേലെയൊക്കെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ചില വള്ളികളൊക്കെ കയറ്റി വിടുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. എനിക്ക് ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. എന്റെ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ഇൻ ഫാമിംഗ് ഈസ് മച്ച് ലോ. But I've seen my father doing a lot of activities of that sort. I would not be able to name up the plants and all those things. But then ചില മരങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ വള്ളി ഇങ്ങനെ ചുറ്റിച്ച് കയറ്റി പാരസൈറ്റിക് ആയിട്ട് അത് ഗ്രോ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ that actually protects it from other kind of insects and other kind of thing. അങ്ങനെ ചില കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്. Now Bacillus thuringiensis, that as I spoke about the Bt bacteria, so it can control insects of cabbage, potato, and I showed you many other crops. And sporain was the first insecticide. It was the name of the first insecticide, which is actually what you call this kind of bacteria kind of a thing, pathogen. And baculoviruses are also pathogens attacking the other pathogens. The important method, I also talked to you about another method which is known as the sterilization method. You sterilize the male worms using radiation, so they will not be able to mate. Another, we spoke about the liquid suspension, so this is also a pathogens, spread of pathogens, the bacteria, virus, these things, that you are, you make a suspension, liquid suspension, and you spread it on the citrus plant. And collagen എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഫംഗസിന്റെ പൗഡർ ആണ് that can stop the beads. ബീഡിനെ സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന പൗഡേഴ്സ് ആണ്. And confusion technique I told you, it's about the pheromone trapping and sex attractant spreading in different places. അവിടെ confusion കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. So males are not able to understand where the females are. So everywhere they get that attractant spread around. So they are able to confuse and they are not able to mate. And pheromone traps, as I told you, you trap the males by the way of you keep in some place, and then when this what you call insects come, they get trapped and they are killed and removed. So that's what we call it as a pheromone trapping. So these are some of the methods that are brought into the title of bioinsecticides. I'm telling you, maybe very short session, we are taking a lot of things, but we don't have a choice. You need to go through it. Even if it's a rather regular session also, we will be going like this only because there was no choice. You don't have a choice. You have to study all these things. And once I'm telling you, I told you, maybe when you speak about these things, they are not things which are actually coming out from. Now, for example, the total topic what I completed in the last 2.5 hours, in order to read through the textbooks and identify these things, you will have to spend at least 10 to 15 days, because the kind of things that we collect, you don't find any textbook with these topics. You can go through any textbook. These are all connected separately, taking in things based on the things which I felt very important for your examinations. So be very careful. Try to see that if any of the points you don't understand, note it down, and just to go through it again, search for it, identify what is it, and then you will understand it better. Fine. All okay? All of you? All of you fine? A lot of fact and figures are coming. I know that too much fact on it, but this is how you need to pick up if you want to write the exam well and face any kind of question. Yes. Yes, sir. Okay. Fine. We'll go to the last point in this slide. before we go into some of the sample questions from the whatever we completed till date. It's about fundis. ഞാനത് ഇന്നലെ explain ചെയ്തായിരുന്നു. So I thought that I'll finish it off a little more. This is about the Loktak Lake. ഞാൻ ഇന്നലെ നിങ്ങളോട് explain ചെയ്തു. എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു എല്ലാവർക്കും ഓർമ്മയുണ്ടാവും. The floating islands, that is what we call as the fundis. Fundis എന്ന് പറയുന്ന local name ആണ്. So it is actually the name that is given for the floating islands. The floating islands, there are many islands which are floating in this lake, and they are named as the fundis. So it is found in the Loktak Lake of Manipur. Manipurle Loktak Lake ennu parna lake ilanu kanunathu. So this Loktak Lake, as I told you, it's actually one of the very important wetlands which is listed under the national wetlands, national wetlands of importance. And also it is one of the wetlands that is registered under the International Wetlands Convention. And also it is listed under the Montreal Records. Montreal Record ne kurichu ningal innale paranjittundairunnu. Montreal Record ennu parayunnathu, it is list of the islands which are still being affected by the human intervention. But janangalude intervention karanam, even though it's a protected island, protected wetland, but still because of the human intervention, there are still changes happening, and it is affecting the basic ecosystem aspect of the wetland. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ ഈ മോൺട്രിയൽ റെക്കോർഡിലോട്ട് നമ്മൾ ലിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So we'll try to take that one also rough ആയിട്ട് ഞാൻ അതും വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. We'll go through that one also. The biggest island is the Cable Lamjao. It's a national park. It's the biggest in the world for floating. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഫ്ലോട്ടിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഐലൻഡിന്റെ ബിഗ്ഗസ്റ്റ് ആണ്. ആൻഡ് അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആ ഒരു സ്ഥലം ഈ കേബിൾ ലംജാവ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിനെ ഒരു നാഷണൽ പാർക്ക് ആയിട്ട് ഡെസിഗ്നേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. There is a specific deer species known as Sangai. Sangai എന്നുള്ള ഒരു deer species അവിടെ present ആണ്. Now what we are speaking about is that why is it continuously in the news? ഒന്നുകൂടെ ഓർത്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കാൻ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങൾ, the biggest floating island in the world ആണ് this one, and this is a national park, and it is a national park where a particular species of deer, Sangai deer, is actually it's being protected. Now the reasons why it is in the news, or why it is being polluted, or why it is in the Montreal Record, that is what I am mentioning here. It's used by locals for huts construction, fishing. Almost 4,000 people are living on the top of it, and there are many artificial fundis, athapums, where aquaculture causing it, which means that there are many artificial fundis because of the aquaculture. Aquaculture means activities that is happening in the water. All these plantation activities ഒക്കെ നടക്കുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് there are a lot of artificial fundis. Artificial എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ man-made fundis ഒക്കെ അവിടെ form ചെയ്യുക. അതിന്റെ പേര് athapum എന്നാണ്. athapum. These athapums are also formed there. So just imagine that these floating islands are used by the people for their daily activities. They are making huts, they are cooking, they are spending time on that, and they are destroying the basic ecosystem that is present there. And there are also activities, agricultural activities, aquaculture, which is happening in the water, which is creating artificial fundis, which means that extension of these fundis are actually happening. There is high water hyacinth growth. Water hyacinth is an invasive water plant ആണ്. നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലേക്ക് ഇഷ്ടം പോലെ കാണാൻ പറ്റും water hyacinth. മറ്റേ MC റോഡ് കനാലിലൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. So there is high amount of water hyacinth growth that is happening. Large siltation, deposits of pollutants, pesticides, insecticides, building reducing the insecticides and building reducing dissolved oxygen. So a dead water zone, hypolimnion, epilimnion, thin layer where fish survives. You may not have understood that much, but I'll just explain for the name, and then because it may not be much important for you people, I'll tell you what is it. So there is a higher growth of water hyacinth, and there is a lot of deposits of pollutants like pesticides, insecticides. ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടെ ഇങ്ങനെ ബിൽഡപ്പ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്? There is the reduction in the dissolved oxygen. So the dissolved oxygen is reduced. So what happens is that I told you on the top there is a small layer of a little layer of water. That is what we call it as the epilimnion. Epilimnion എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് that is the live area where the fish is able to survive. And towards the other side എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ where these plants are all covering, there is an area which is covered by all these pollutants and plants and all those things where oxygen is not reaching, known as the hypolimnion. ഈ terms ഓർത്ത് വെക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. For your information, you can keep in your mind what is it. Just keep it in your mind what is actually it is. What actually is it? You don't have to much worry about it. Just to understand that we were speaking about this Loktak Lake. The Loktak Lake is in Manipur. It has got the most significant thing about Loktak Lake is that it has got floating islands, floating vegetation, floating islands which are floating on the top of it. The biggest floating island is Cable Lamjau. And this Cable Lamjau is famous for being the biggest floating island in the world, and also it being designated as a national park where there is particular species of deer known as the Sangai or Manipur Bro antler that survives. So that is something that you need to remember about that thing. Now, why L species? That species a particular species or deer is Sangai deer. Now, what we are speaking about is that what is the reason this one comes under discussion a lot nowadays. The first reason is what I told you is that it's now it is being used heavily by the people. Almost 4,000 people are living on the top of these fundis, and the people are doing their daily activities. They cook, they live, they make huts, and they also spend time on fishing activities, and they also do aquaculture, agricultural activities in the water. This extends and increases the number of artificial fundis, artificial vegetation, which is named as Atapum. And then next thing what we are speaking was that because of too much of activities by the human beings, or too much of the people who are living on there, that there is high movement of these nutrients. We spoke about the eutrophication, the movement of all these pesticides which are used for agriculture, or a lot of insecticides, or whatever the pollutants which are used, or nutrients which are actually being used for agriculture. All these things flow down into the river water, or the lake water. This creates the growth of this water hyacinth and promotes the growth of water hyacinth. And these pollutants are all destroying the ecosystem altogether. So there is one area which is covered by the plants and which is having all these kind of pollutants. This area, which is a dead area in the sense which is not suitable for the fishes to grow. I'm going to dead area on the which is known as the hypolimnion, and epilimnion is a thin layer where the fish survives, and there is only a little area which is much more can be said to be an area which is not covered by these plants and all those kind of thing, where oxygen goes in, where dissolved oxygen is good enough, where the fish survives. So now the last line, it is 1 out of the 115 wetlands of national importance. 100% assistance is given for cleaning. Like the government of India, I told you last week, we were speaking about Ramsar Convention. I told that the government of India also had a program of National Wetland Conservation Authority formed in the year 1986. So under the National Wetlands Conservation Authority, government has identified 115 wetlands in the world in India. In 115 wetlands in the idea, these are the wetlands which are of national importance. So they have to be protected. So then the protection were another all kind of protection, like cleaning activities or maintaining activities, and 100% of financial assistance will be provided by the government of India for the same purpose. So this is something, and that is the reason now I think very recently also it has been under discussion. So the government is looking more seriously into the aspect of cleaning this place, wetlands, because it's a very important area. It's a very important area as we speak about how important, if you want to speak about how important it is much important when you're speaking about the other wetlands in the world. Because in India, I told you, when you speak about the wetlands, the natural permanent wetlands, you compare it to be very low. So when you're having that less number of natural permanent wetlands, it is important for the country to protect them. So that's why the government has got the complete attention on it, and the international society also, community has got the attention because of the situation. That's the reason I told you it is actually listed under the Montreux record also. So that will be the first part of the slides that we complete. So I think you are all okay with it. So these slides we completed under the major topic as the pollutions and pollutant aspects, but we have gone into a lot more aspects than the pollution alone. We are also gone into the basic concepts of pollution. We have gone into aspects of it. Then we went on to discuss about the various kinds of pollution aspects which are important for you people. And then we went into the random topics that we were able to discuss. Hopefully every topic has been good. All of you are able to follow me well? All of you? All good? Could you all follow me well? Whatever I've spoke today and the last 2 days, was it all okay? Yes. So I think you could follow me well. Keeping that you could are getting it, we will start getting into the new thing, which is actually One second. Yeah, can you all see? All of you. Slide. Can you see the new slide or you are seeing the old slide? Can you see the new one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay, fine, excellent. So anyway, we have got only 10 minutes left. So what I do is that we are getting into the new slide, where I am trying to complete on all the topics. Like post lunch, we have got a 3-hour session. So we'll try to go through each and every aspect that is very significant, and I'm sure I'll make you people understand clearly on what you need to learn. Try to keep some questions so that I think we'll start with one of the 2 questions in order to understand. These are all the basics that you feel like you have studied. We'll finish 1 or 2 questions and we'll take a break for the lunch. See, there is a question that from the sample question. Somebody asked me in the morning how the questions would come. I've taken all kind of sample questions, only few questions, 3, 4, 5 questions. And then it will be easy for you to understand what is your level, and can also help you to understand if you have understood what I have been teaching you. Which of the following statement is true about ecotone? It's a question that asks about which of the statement is true about what it means by ecotone. Yeah, what is the answer? First thing, have you heard this term before? This term have you heard this term before?
Yes, sir.
You have heard this term before, yes. Yeah, Anaga says it is, Amalu says it is A, Mithun says it is A. Okay, I think all of you would be able to say it is A because you have heard this term before, so you should not be forgetting it. Yes, fine. Excellent. So it's a meeting place of 2 different ecosystems. So now there is one important thing. I'll just wind up with this slide itself so that we'll take a break and then come into the next one after the lunch. Ecotone. This was, I think, one of the question. Not one of the question. It has been asked at least 2 to 3 times in the last 5 to 6 years of exam or 7 years of examination. 2 times I can minimum say for it. Ecotone is actually a meeting place of 2 different ecosystems. It is a standard question to make you people understand. Yes, everyone says Vishwanath. Yes, A is the correct answer. It's a meeting place of 2 different ecosystems. It's a meeting place of 2 same ecosystem is one another choice. Density of species is very low here is another choice. All of the above is another choice. So in this one, almost that A and B are contradictory statement. So A and B are contradictory statement. D is a wrong one. But D ne namakku eliminate cheyan pattum. And a standard question how do you identify a correct answer in an examination? UPSC prelims examination. So UPSC prelims is not about choosing the right answer. It is about eliminating the wrong answer. എന്താണ് wrong ആയിട്ടുള്ളത് ആ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റിനെ എലിമിനേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന വഴിയാണ് you will be able to come out with what is the correct answer. ഒന്നുകൂടെ ഓർത്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കുക, ഇത് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യമാണ്. Never try to choose a correct answer, you will make mistake. അതെങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് അറിയോ? കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഓപ്ഷൻസിൽ വളരെ ചെറിയ ചെറിയ ഡിഫറൻസ് വെച്ചിട്ട് എല്ലാ ആൻസറും ഒരു കറക്റ്റിന്റെ ഒരു ഫീലിംഗ് തരാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ആൻസർ അവർക്ക് ചോദിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. സോ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെയാണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്, always try to see that you try to cut out all those wrong options അല്ലെങ്കിൽ wrong statements first. What remains will be the correct answer. അതാണ് പ്രിലിംസിന്റെ ഒരു ടെക്നോളജി. എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ആരെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങളോട് ഇത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. It's not about choosing the correct option or correct statement, it is eliminating the wrong statement. So here you are able to eliminate the first wrong statement, which is all of the above. Now the other 3 things, it is meeting place of 2 different ecosystem, meeting place of 2 same ecosystem. Density of species is very low here. I think here we don't need elimination because here it does not say AB, ABC, ABCD. Angane oru choice illathukonde the elimination is very easy actually. But for the 3 statement ABC, if you really don't know the answer, like if you don't really know what actually it means by it, it could actually bring you into problem. For example, it is meeting place of 2 different ecosystem. It is meeting place of 2 same ecosystem. It's a very clear point for you to understand that if it is a meeting place of 2 same ecosystem, then you would not call it a third place name, isn't it? The total area will be a single ecosystem. So by default, B is a wrong statement. So when you speak about a B, if it's a meeting place of two same ecosystem, when it meets in a common place, then it is only a part of the same ecosystem. So it will not be a third ecosystem, or third name will not be given. So second one is wrong. Now C, density of speech. Now, this is the answer question face this statement question face. First one, D can be avoided because A and B are contradictory. Now B can be avoided because it's a meeting place of same ecosystem. Rand ecosystem same place, same thing. Difference. Now C and the density of species is very low here. So this is another beautiful thing for you to understand. If B is wrong and D is wrong, if A and C are the doubtful one, then it's very clear. A is the statement, C should be a continuation, but here there are no choices. So here you will need to understand A and C. See, density of species low on chance. See, in an ecotone, when two different kind of ecosystems meet, the advantage of that place is that it will have features of both the ecosystem. So there is no chance the density of the species can be low there. Because if there are two different ecosystems and this place supports both the ecosystems there, it actually means that the species density could be higher than a common ecosystem. Now, somebody can give me the example of an ecotone. Run an example of
Mangrove forest.
Excellent. Mangrove forest is one of the best examples. That could be the standard example for an ecotone. It actually is a link between the terrestrial ecosystem and the marine ecosystem. So the advantage, you can also find those species which are found in the terrestrial area. Also, you can find the animal, the fishes and other species that you find in the marine ecosystem. So this is actually, a standard example which can actually tell you how it has got a higher density of the species than a common normal ecosystem. And if you speak about grassland is actually an ecosystem that is between savanna. Yes, Nandulan, savanna. I use the term grassland. So grassland is actually between the forest ecosystem and again, what you call if you speak about the terrestrial ecosystem, if you take the land, agricultural land or anything like that. Because in a savanna, you find the animals from the forest and also human beings and the other animals from the grazing, the agricultural land also present in that area. So that is how an ecotone becomes very significant. So what you need to understand is very simple. The statement here says what is ecotone, and I was trying to make you understand how you can get the answer of this one if you don't know this particular thing at all. And now I was also telling you what ecotone and the significance it is. So it's a joining place of two different ecosystems. And since it's a joining place of two different ecosystems, the species density would be higher here. So we'll keep this question at in a closed level, and we'll go into the next question post the lunch. So hopefully we'll meet after 1:30, and then we'll I think generally continue. We have got a lot of topics to be finished today, so we'll complete most of it today itself. So thank you very much. We'll meet after lunch, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Meet after lunch, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.